Chapter 13:15, The Witch's Mission, Part 3, Using the Creatures of a World as Bait, Sacrificing the Lives of Everyone to Lure the Great Crow, who can freely travel between dimensions. They first discovered the existence of the Great Crow and set up similar traps with the Great Witches in multiple worlds, working together to restrain the Great Crow lured by the death energy of the world outside the void. Flora's teacher and disciples were the final sacrifices, tasked with sealing the Great Crow for just 1 second. Yes, only 1 second. Several great witches from the witch god's domain, along with the sacrifice of many outstanding witches from an entire world, all for the precious 1 second. Even with the intervention of 3 legend-ranked great witches, they could only achieve this much. The Great Crow is a creature capable of freely traveling through dimensions, a natural disaster monster born from the nightmare world, an immortal calamity. It doesn't truly exist in the concepts of life and death, unable to be killed or destroyed. It lacks self-awareness and is more like an embodiment of a certain concept. To capture such a great crow and turn it into a battle pet is an unprecedented plan, even for the witch god's domain. If it wasn't for Flora's sudden appearance, the chance of this plan succeeding would be less than 1 in a billion. The 3 great witches who have been tracking Great Crow haven't found anyone whose field is related to dimensions. The prerequisite for merging with Great Crow is to touch the power of dimensions. The rank of dimension which has never existed in the history of witch god's domain. Flora came up with this rank for herself. Most of the existing dimensional magic in witch god's domain has significant flaws as they are based on the records left behind by the great witches who observed Great Crow's travels through dimensions. Who would have thought that a talented witch like Flora would be able to develop partial dimensional magic from those incomplete records and touch that door? Flora, who is honest, didn't hide her progress in magic. In fact, her progress in studying dimensional magic has long surpassed her teacher by several levels. In witch god's domain, there is no longer anyone who can be her teacher in dimensional magic. She has already reached the pinnacle of dimensional magic in witch god's domain and is the most outstanding spatial witch in the history of witch god's domain. It was Flora's impressive performance that caught the attention of her teacher and also piqued the interest of the 3 great witches. Because of Flora's arrival, a plan that was originally impossible became possible. Perhaps she was born to be a witch. 1/3 chance is indeed too low. So, the plan was able to be carried out. That day was a festival in the small god's domain, where people danced around a bonfire, celebrating the harvest while holding hands. Witch god's domain, which has always been an important part of the endless god's domain, is still prosperous and abundant even in Flora's remote hometown of the small god's domain. The population of the entire god's domain is about 30 million, divided into mortals, wilderness, and the higher regions where witches reside, just like most other gods' domains. However, unlike the distinct divisions of the Sky Sword god's domain with its handle, blade, and tip, witch god's domain is mostly divided into circular sectors. Only the area where mortals live is located in the outer ring of the circular sectors. A wild area with various monsters and dangerous creatures smells, located in the middle of the ring area. The upper area where witches and apprentice witches live, located in the inner ring of the circle. The 3 rings are clearly divided, representing a common social hierarchy in endless god's domain. Flora's hometown, where over 29 million mortals reside, is located in the outer ring. Unknown numbers of monsters and creatures multiply and thrive in the middle ring, providing magical materials for the witches. Around 100,000 people serve the witches and apprentice witches, settling in the upper area. There are only dozens of true witches and around a few hundred apprentice witches, all disciples of the same lineage. Flora's teacher, a senior witch who has reached the end of her witching journey and lived for 800 years, is the master of this god's domain. This god's domain has a very ancient history and was already a part of this large god's domain when witch god's domain was established. The people on this land are used to the rule of the witches. Even if a girl with the potential to become an apprentice witch comes from a family, they will eagerly send her to the upper area where the witches live. Most men work as knights and guards, striving to become the witches' subordinates. Until that day, disaster arrived. Great Crow is a calamitous creature without human emotions, a true natural disaster. With its black wings, it descended, smelling the decay of the power of God's domain, long dead. Darkness covered the entire God's domain. In 6 days, except for the last few witches, there were no living beings left in God's domain. Flora, together with her teacher, invaded the body of Great Crow. Because of the colossal size of Great Crow, which presented a world-ending form, it engulfed the whole of God's domain, rendering any magic attack from the outside ineffective. Under the guidance of her teacher, Flora used her partially developed dimensional cutting magic to forcefully tear a hole in Great Crow's body and rushed inside along with her teacher's other disciples. For Great Crow, who had no concept of life and death, having its body pierced was a very rare event. Combined with the full restraint from 3 external great witches, Flora's teacher and disciples managed to reach its heart for the first time. It was a magnificent scene, with all the last surviving witches in God's domain, wearing robes and pointed witch hats, joining forces to surround Great Crow's heart. Since there was no concept of life and death, the heart was not a vital point for Great Crow. It was merely the core that powered the dimensional shuttle. Perhaps, to Great Crow, it seemed like a group of insignificant ants gathering around it that could be crushed easily. But for the last surviving witches in God's domain, this was their only chance. However, it was not their chance, but Flora's chance. Flora, you are the only witch with the power of dimensions. The final sealing task belongs to no one but you. Although the world is about to be destroyed, there may still be small miracles. You must save this world. At that time, Flora's teacher lied to her. Miracles to save the world never existed from the beginning. Because this world existed long ago as a sacrifice to Great Crow. Chapter 13:16. 1 second now, the time has come. Among us, only Flora can do that thing. Flora, you are the hope of all of us. You can save the world. Everyone, are you ready? Sacrifice your life for Flora's sake. As they penetrated Great Crow's body and finally reached the heart, Flora's teacher began to execute the final step of their plan. When they realized their imminent death, Flora's disciples didn't panic as she had imagined. It seemed they had already known about it. Surprisingly, they were all just ordinary girls, just like her. Witches are not monsters, they simply possess the natural talent to become witches. Among thousands of apprentice witches, they stand out and are recognized by superior witches as exceptional representatives. Casting forbidden spells, one by one, the sacrificing witches left behind their last words for Flora. Flora, when the world is rebuilt, please engrave these words on my tombstone. Here lies a future great witch named Sue. To be honest, I never really thought about a grand future. I've successfully become a witch, so why not just wait for death? Sob. Flora, remember to bring my favorite bread when you visit my grave. On my coffin, please carve beautiful lilies, Flora. Flora, it's a pity that we won't see you become a great witch. You are the best witch among us. Flora, did you know that all 3 of my former lovers changed their minds after seeing you? I hate you so much. Why don't I have your talent? Goodbye, Flora. Everyone has a mission to fulfill, and I guess mine is now to become a great witch. No doubt about it, Flora. Why didn't they notice? None of them asked her to save the world. It's because they already knew that this world was beyond saving. Only a world of death can bring forth the Great Crow. What they hoped for was a plan that must be completed, even if it meant sacrificing their own lives. It was the birth of a great witch. The existence of the Great Witch is a long-standing legend for the witch god's domain. Every great witch is like a goddess, idol, representing the highest fantasy of the witch god's domain in the minds of countless witches. Even a great witch who has fallen into darkness still has countless followers. In order for a great witch to be born, they make the choice to sacrifice their own lives, just like Flora's teacher. Those last words are only meant for Flora, because she is special, a witch who surpasses them all, the only one with the hope of becoming a great witch. Flora herself is unaware, she thinks she is unnoticed, but she has already caught the attention of countless people. There are countless nobles and knights willing to sacrifice their lives for her, to protect her. Even among the witches of the same sex, she shines the brightest like a star. Her talent is exceptional, and her learning ability surpasses all other witches. She is like the main character in a story, even without doing anything, she still shines brightly, and the witches who study under the same teacher are also infatuated with her. The name Flora has already spread throughout the entire witch god's domain, considered to be the most likely genius to become the next great witch. So, she doesn't have to do anything, the teacher does everything for her, protecting her from the wind and rain. She never lacks the materials she needs for experiments, no matter how precious they are. Sometimes, she becomes interested in a food from a remote place called God's Domain, and the teacher and her disciples will do everything they can to buy that kind of food for her. She thinks she is very ordinary, just a witch who focuses on studying. This doesn't exist. Photos of her and the things she has used have long become popular goods in witch god's domain. It is said that in order to compete for the clothes she no longer needs, Flora's disciples have even duelled with each other more than once. It was truly a comedy full of Yuri color, meaning a story involving romantic relationships between women. When the final moment arrived, these witches who didn't look the part because they had once fought with Flora, each expressed their feelings to her. Flora, live freely. Flora, I like you the most. Flora, take our share and shock the whole witch god's domain. At that time, Flora somewhat realized some strange things. It seemed like everyone thought they could become a great witch. By the time the last witch, who was the 800-year-old teacher Flora, began to perform forbidden spells, Flora still believed she could save the world. In front of her, the intricate and mysterious unknown forbidden spells had reached the final stage. As long as she had 10 seconds, she would succeed. Flora, my disciple, I hope you won't hate me. My last words, kept in my tower. Flora. Goodbye. At that time, Flora saw the teacher's disappearing figure and felt very sad for the first time. But she still held on to hope that she could save the world, and finished reciting the final spell. At the cost of all the witches' lives, Great Crow's heart was surrounded by a strange blood color, which was the life essence of everyone Flora knew. Seal. Flora spoke the final secret code and challenged the unbeatable Great Crow. In the void, the three great witches heard that voice, signaling the start of the final stage of their plan. Countless black rays of light pierced through Great Crow's body. Thousands of little puppets ran through Great Crow's blood vessels. Ashen pages of a book glued to Great Crow's feathers one by one. In just a moment, Great Crow's power had a blank period. In a split second, Great Crow's heart burst open, shattered by the different powers of the three legendary Great Witches. In just 2 seconds, the Great Crow's heart will regenerate, and the Great Crow cannot be killed because it doesn't have the concept of life or death. Even if 3 great witches join forces, they can't kill it. So, everything happened within 1 second. Flora absorbed all the magical life force that enveloped the Great Crow heart. The magic she used was not a sealing spell from the beginning, but a fusion, a deceitful magic. In that moment, Flora opened the door of dimensional magic. She saw a world like never before. Behind her, the black figure of a disaster bird appeared. Chapter 1317. The low roar of the Great Crow. 1 second of time is so brief. For humans, it was just a blink of an eye, a moment so brief that it seemed imperceptible. But for Flora, who sealed the Great Crow, that 1 second felt as long as a lifetime. When the fresh blood, which was the life essence of the teacher and their disciples, gathered towards herself, Flora sensed that something was wrong. This was not like a seal spell, but more like a forbidden technique that required sacrificing a large number of lives to achieve. Why didn't she notice it earlier? With their power, it was impossible to truly seal the power of the Great Crow. It was a natural disaster monster of the legend ranked, an embodiment of calamity that had already destroyed numerous worlds. Even if they gathered the entire world's power, it would still be impossible to defeat this black calamitous crow. It was one of the incarnations of nightmares, a calamity that came with the scent of death in the world. Its heart cannot be sealed by Flora's teacher or disciples. So, what is this spell? Why did Great Crow's heart suddenly shatter and fly towards her? The forbidden magic that had already been activated was prepared specifically for this moment. She could even see countless droplets of blood dancing around her, and then all of them flowed into her heart in a single breath. In just 1 second, the ritual was complete. She contained the essence of the Great Crow heart, mixed with the blood of her teacher and all the witch disciples who studied with her teacher. No, it's not just that. There are other things mixed in, things that the great crow had just devoured and hadn't fully digested yet, the essence of the sentient beings of this world. Besides her, there were no other sentient beings left in God's domain. Great Crow, who sensed the smell of death engulfing the world, bestowed upon them an equal and definitive end, proclaiming the death of the entire world. Whether it be birds in the sky, fish in the ocean, lush green trees, or even the underground ecosystem, Great Crow destroyed them all, turning the whole world into a lifeless land. Are there still people alive? Yes, Flora could sense that three immensely powerful and terrifying forces were surrounding this God's domain, exerting immense pressure on Great Crow. It was them who shattered Great Crow's heart, and in collaboration with the forbidden technique prepared by teacher Flora, they blended Great Crow's heart essence with Flora's own body. Then, as if it was always within reach, the door that had been touched more than once was pushed open by Flora. With the complete fusion of heart essence and Flora, Great Crow sprouted black wings on Flora's back and positioned its own coordinates above her. This is the manifestation of being chosen. The thought processes of nightmare world creatures are beyond human comprehension. Despite falling into a trap set by humans and enduring the combined attacks of three great witches, even to the point where its heart was once shattered, for Great Crow, which doesn't understand the concept of life and death, these injuries were nothing at all. It fixed its heart, and it only took 1 second. However, teacher Flora's forbidden spell worked at this time, allowing Flora to use the power of the Great Crow to open the door to the Dimension Witch's path. Actually, the plan is almost finished here. Even in the plan of the three great witches, they never really expected to catch the Great Crow, as this natural disaster monster is almost unbeatable. The plan proposed by Flora's teacher, which was unanimously approved by the three great witches, is to use the entire world as bait, briefly capture the Great Crow's heart, and use the power of the Great Crow to help Flora reach the legend ranked. Even if the plan fails, Flora will not be in danger, as the three great witches will protect her life and wait for the next appearance of the Great Crow. No one knows what happened during that 1 second of fusion time, why the Great Crow, who should have only overlapped with Flora for 1 second, didn't undo the fusion state. After the forbidden spell was cast, the three great witches in the void looked at each other with strange eyes. Strange, why hasn't the Great Crow flown away? Flora, did you succeed in advancing? If she succeeded, she should have declared herself as the Great Witch. Today is supposed to be the day when Dimension Witch Flora is born. Three great witches, who have existed for thousands of years, surrounded the Great Crow. They all watched Flora in the Great Crow heart area. Why is it like this? Flora should have been more joyful than anyone else when she opened the long-awaited door. It was her goal that she had always pursued. Dream. Future. Hope. Once you become a great witch, you can truly be free and explore the stars, no longer bound by God's domain. This has always been her ideal pursuit. The vastness of the starry sky made her want to see more worlds, so she has been working hard until now. But why, now that this dream is about to come true, is she unable to hold back her tears? Gah! A cold and heartless cry echoed in her ear. It was the ominous low roar of the Great Crow. The natural disaster monster from Nightmare World chose Flora as its host after she opened the door, merging with her. Nobody knows why the Great Crow made this choice, even if it meant sacrificing the entire God's domain. Even with the help of three great witches, the most they could do was to allow the Great Crow's heart to merge with Flora for a second. No one expected that the Great Crow, who fused with Flora for the first time, would actively choose to take up residence inside Flora's body. Even Flora herself doesn't know the reason behind it. The Great Crow, who doesn't know what it means to be alive or dead, is a strange and eternal disaster that cannot be destroyed. It can be seen as one of the embodiments of Nightmare World's will. Flora, who is inhabited by the Great Crow, landed on the ground feeling lost and confused. She looked at the world ruins filled with devastation, her shoulders trembling slightly. Everything has been destroyed. The familiar world she knew, and the people she recognized, have all been completely ruined. As the sun sets, only the city inhabited by the witches remains with a few traces of civilization in God's domain. Everything else has been destroyed by the Great Crow. Ha! Ha ha ha! In that moment, in front of the three great witches, on the already destroyed world ruins, Flora laughed. So this is how it is. I am Dusk Witch. Flora. Chapter 13:18. The curse begins. The announcement made by every witch when they enter the legend ranked holds special meaning. Dimension, which is the path chosen by Flora for herself, her future ideal. However, that ideal became corrupted because of the Great Crow incident. In the world of destruction, it was not Dimension Witch Flora who was born, but Dusk Witch Flora. Neither righteous nor kind, she existed in the midst of chaos, like a shadow between light and darkness, like dusk. On that day, Flora grew up and lost everything, earning the title of Dusk Witch, also known as Flora. Congratulations, Flora. Dusk Witch Flora, it's a good name. From now on, you need to work hard, okay? The three great witches who had been waiting for this moment congratulated the newly awakened Dusk Witch. Despite some difficulties along the way, Witch God's domain finally welcomed a new great witch. It was a source of pride for the entire Witch God's domain. The birth of the previous great witch happened thousands of years ago. In the next 1,000 years, it was unlikely that anyone would possess the same exceptional talent as Flora. In order for Flora to advance, both her teacher and the three great witches were willing to do whatever it took to help her take the next step. Let me be silent. I know. I will fulfill the mission of a great witch. Advancing to the legend ranked of a great witch represented reaching the pinnacle of the Witch God's domain pyramid. It also meant taking on the responsibilities that came with being a great witch. Flora understood all of this clearly. However, this was something that wasn't supposed to happen for hundreds of years. The fact that it was achieved through such a tragic and costly way was unexpected. Your teacher is an exceptional witch. The plan to capture Great Crow was proposed by her, and she will be remembered by history. Flora, all of this is worth it. Witch God's domain needs Great Witch to protect it, or else more humans will be sacrificed. Witches are not without natural enemies. After the three great witches left some comforting words, they departed from the destroyed homeland of Flora. Yes. I know even witches have natural enemies. But, is it really worth it, teacher? Why don't you believe me? Isn't a 1 in 3 chance enough? Flora wandered through the ruins of the world after its destruction. The devastating power of Great Crow was absolute, coupled with Flora's forbidden magic, the whole world was beyond repair. No matter what kind of spell was used, it couldn't restore the world to its original state. This world, which is full of destruction, is destined to become Witch God's domain's history. After hundreds of years, the last generation of people born in this world, which are the seeds sent out by Teacher Flora, will probably be forgotten when they land and take root in other worlds of Witch God's domain. In the history of Witch God's domain, the last records left here will probably become the final battle site of the three great witches and the natural disaster monster Great Crow, marking the end of this world. However, there is one person who will not forget this place, who will not forget their hometown. Even if all creatures born on this land forget it, she is unable to forget or let go. Because this is where she grew up, where she learned, and where she became a witch. The ruins left after the destruction of this world are the cradle she will never forget, becoming an eternal legend with her. Even when she imagines confessing her love to her imaginary love interest, the beautiful landscapes she has seen countless times in the dimensional shuttle don't appear in her mind. She has been to the homeland of dragons, watching the white holy dragons flying in the sky, and the dragon grass covering the ground stretching to the end of the world. She walked across the unchanging icy land that had existed for thousands of years, and climbed the extremely high polar ice peaks, watching the enchanting dance of the snow and ice creatures. She ventured into the deepest depths of the abyss, immersing herself in the bottom of the great whirlpool, where it seemed like eternal darkness, with indescribable things passing by. Her childhood dream was to see a wider world and leave her footprints in those worlds, and she achieved it all. However, no matter how magnificent and magical the landscapes she encountered, the colors that remained eternal in her heart were still from here. This is what the world looks like after its death, in the ruins at dusk. This is her hometown, a small domain on the border of the Witch God's domain, called Sula after her teacher's family. Elder, this place is my hometown. Holding the lilies that her friend used to love, Flora, dressed in a bright red gown, took steps towards the faceless god. In her eyes, there was a hint of sadness, but more importantly, courage. Flora is a great witch born in the ruins at dusk, a twisted monster inhabited by the great crow. Even in the history of Witch God's domain, she was the only great witch who possessed the power of the dimensional shuttle without any limits. She was special, everyone believed so from a young age. Until the day of the world's destruction, she had always thought she could save the world. The teacher confidently told her that they had a final counterattack plan against the Great Crow. By infiltrating the Great Crow's body and sealing its heart, they could create a miracle and bring hope back to the world. Hope existed, but it belonged to only one person, not this world. Flora, who was loved by this world, including its master Sue, was willing to sacrifice herself for her. She was a flower born from despair and death, named after the Twilight, the Great Witch. She wielded the infinite power of calamity and had black wings that brought destruction to world after world, with an embodiment of nightmares residing within her. Born at the cost of the destruction of a world and countless lives, a mysterious witch. Did you see, Elder? Because of me, this world is destroyed and headed towards its end. I really loved this world so much. But back then, I was so weak and powerless. I couldn't change anything. Walking on the ruins of a world that could be indirectly ended because of herself, Flora displayed a beauty that even the 12 nightmare sovereigns in the void found awe-inspiring. So, I think if you have someone you love, you should wholeheartedly give your all in loving them. Never wait until you've lost them to regret. Flora looked at the faceless god before her with a serious gaze, quietly placing a hand on the cursed necklace around her own chest. The curse from the legendary Great Witch Kara from ancient times is unleash. Activation phrase, I have no regret. Chapter 1319. The Witch Who Saves the World. For witches who yearn for love and have no other options, the curse necklace of the Great Witch Kara is their last choice. Once used, it is certain death. No witch who activated Kara's curse necklace has lived more than 3 months. Kara's curse has an almost absolute compulsion effect, regardless of the other person's condition, even if they're not the same race. Essentially, it's not really cursing the other person, because the cursed object is actually the witch herself. Love me, please. This is the wish and obsession engraved in this necklace by the Great Witch Kara. When she made this necklace, she probably didn't think that in the long years to come, so many witches with similar experiences would die because of it. Maybe, for these witches, not getting love is sadder than death. After Flora held this necklace in her hands, she never thought she would need to use it one day. After receiving this necklace from the Great Witch, there would always be a young witch approaching Flora with a desperate look, as if they were about to die, offering their entire fortune to buy the right to use this cursed necklace. As a result, without exception, the necklace would always end up back in Flora's hands soon after. She carefully studied the curse within the necklace and discovered its binding power, which even a great witch of the same legend ranked couldn't resist. It was a kind of balance-like forbidden magic, similar to the law of causality. To give my life and make someone I love fall in love with me. Regardless of race, background, or gender, the stronger the other person's power, the less time would be left after casting the curse. If targeting the legend-ranked indeed, such cases have occurred, it would be an incredibly exceptional witch, with extraordinarily outstanding magical talent. The person she fell in love with was a legend-ranked mage who had long been married. After using Kara's curse, she successfully gained 3 days with that mage, and then she died. This is the fair part of Kara curse, you have to sacrifice as much as you want to get. So, the Great Witch Kara, who created this necklace, didn't get the love she wanted because the person she loved was supposedly more powerful than her and couldn't be bound by this curse. After the user's death, Kara's curse is automatically lifted. Only the memories, lasting for a brief period of a few months or days, will not disappear. They are the final traces left by the witches who used Kara curse in this world. Flora clearly knows the consequences of using Kara curse, so she never thought of using this necklace herself. It's too foolish to use this method to obtain love, she will never use it in her lifetime. As for why she collects Kara's necklace and has conducted multiple experiments to offset the cost of the curse, that's just research, pure research. Being the host of Great Crow, She is one of the very few witches in the legend ranked who transcends the concept of death. So, Kara's curse until death won't truly kill her, but she will still be greatly affected. As a compromise, she used a special method using her collected wealth to pay for the cost required by Kara curse. This strange method requires a huge amount of money. She worked hard to smuggle the wealth she collected for thousands of years, but it was never enough for this alternative death plan. With her current wealth, every time she uses Kara's curse, she loses 1/10 of her fortune. It's a number that can bankrupt a large god's domain. Flora never imagined that there would be a day when she would actually use this cursed necklace. The cost of using it is more extravagant than the highest reward of this Red Heart Queen's masquerade. It's like burning one mountain of gold and silver after another the moment it is activated. Senior. Am I beautiful today? She raised her hand and placed a white lily in the hand of the faceless god. Flora's heart had never been so excited. Very beautiful indeed. Yunshi's breath was becoming rapid. This is not a lie. Flora, standing before him right now, was emitting an especially captivating fragrance that he couldn't figure out why. That fragrance, even with just a gentle inhalation, was enough to intoxicate a person's soul. Even Yunshi couldn't resist its allure. If he wasn't hiding inside the faceless god, he might have lost control long ago. Why does Flora look so good today? Just a moment ago, it wasn't this exaggerated. It's just that he feels that this great witch has a special charm. Now, this charm has evolved from extraordinary to a state of intoxication. He can feel his uncontrollable heartbeat. Parfu. Parfu. Parfu, who is inside Dragon Jade, is also extremely excited. The scent is so wonderful, it can last for a whole year. The golden love perfume is such a powerful tool, the undefeated ace in the love war. So, Senior. Do you like me? Kara's curse is in effect, and Flora can clearly feel the atmosphere between herself and Yunshi becoming ambiguous. It's an unspoken understanding of everything, as if they have known each other intimately for a long time. Yes, Kara's curse is absolutely effective, even the legend ranked can't avoid the consequences of the causal magic. While casting this curse, 1/10 of Flora's treasures in her dimension vault instantly turned to ash, which made Flora, who loved smuggling and wealth, very heartbroken. Yunshi was just about to say the word like, as if there was a special magic silently guiding him, making him almost blurt it out involuntarily. Buzz. 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 The dragon's precious gem emitted a terrifying light. It possessed the ultimate power to grant Yunshi control over the faceless god, while also serving as a barrier protecting him from being tempted by certain poisonous insects. Well, to be more precise, the target is the others. The magic of the Great Witch Kara indeed transmitted to Yunshi, causing bias and interference in his destiny's laws. Unfortunately, the opponents she had to face were truly terrifying, and, what's even scarier is that even this opponent with the power of creation cannot control Starchild's destiny. If the legendary technique of cause and effect from the legend ranked could accomplish this, a certain Starchild would not have been able to escape from the pursuit of his 4 former girlfriends and not get caught in the end. The bindings of the creation's cause and effect are 1,000 times stronger than the curse of a legend-ranked great witch. Cause and effect failed. Flora immediately sensed that something was not right about this situation. Would the curse of the great witch Kara also fail? How is that possible? In terms of binding curses, Great Witch Kara is one of the top witches in the witch god's domain, just like she is the first in dimensional magic, unbreakable. Why is it reflecting back? Flora panicked as she felt her heart beating irregularly, a symptom of being struck by Kara's curse. Bang, bang, bang. Panic. Wonder. Sweet. It's like a mixture of honey in a deadly poison. Kara's curse cannot be stopped once it is activated. She fell in love. More clearly than ever before, she could feel that she had fallen for the person in front of her, like a butterfly intoxicated in nectar. I can't describe how I feel, never felt so uneasy but also longing in my heart. Just like the elder said, a young girl in love. At this moment, race, social status, and even gender lost their meaning. It's just liking someone, love, it's so magical and enchanting. She fell in love with the person in front of her. Love can't be stopped, overflowing sweetness constantly spreads from within her heart. That sweetness is a poison that can make someone willingly face death. Now Flora understands why some witches are willing to use Kara's curse at the cost of their lives, saying I have no regrets. The witches who use Kara's curse are beyond saving. And she, right now, is in this state, truly falling in love with the person in front of her. Her cheeks turned red. Her heart was beating like a little deer jumping around. She was breathing quickly. Even though she had put on her best outfit, she had no confidence at all. Where did her usual pride and self-confidence go? Why is it that just standing here, she feels so awkward? Because she values the other person so much, even her speech becomes stuttered. Senior. Is there something wrong with me? This is unlike her at all, not even a bit. The love she yearned for was elegant, gentle, and a relationship where she takes the lead. I never thought about being proactive in my life and I don't need to. She is the powerful great witch, Dusk Witch Flora, who resides at the top of the witch god's domain. It's not true. Today, you are the most beautiful bride. She didn't know what happened to himself, but after smelling that pleasant fragrance, his head became a little dizzy. The laws of karma that bind souls have no effect on Starchild, not even the commands of his 4 ex-girlfriends from before creation. However, the strong temptation of the golden love perfume surprisingly had an effect, and with Flora being affected by the reflected Kara curse, both of them were in an obviously abnormal state. In a dazed and blurry state, both of them were so foolish that they couldn't distinguish whether this place was a stage or their own world. Senior, I like you. Flora's shoulders trembled lightly as she spoke, almost on the verge of tears. Ah. What a fool you are, Flora. Why did you say it first? The senior told you already. It's super disadvantageous to be the first one to confess in the love war. At the moment when Kara curse started, she was hoping for a confession, but why was it her who confess? This is definitely not her fault. Something went wrong with the timeline. Flora. She stared dumbfoundedly at the shy expression in front of him, truly showcasing the charm of a great witch. In terms of performance, Flora's expression at this moment is just too sincere. Words cannot describe the affectionate look in her eyes. If it's possible. She also got into character. This is the answer from the prince, it must be like this. This answer is the correct one. In this world, there's no prince who would reject Flora's confession now. It won't happen. Oh, senior. Flora happily grabbed the hand of the faceless god, with an enchanted expression on her face. What's the deal with this fairy tale-like great witch? But she's really irresistible, and she smells so good too. Shi, who was feeling dizzy from the golden love perfume, couldn't help but accept Flora's confession. By the time he realized that something seemed off, it was already too late. Senior, let's plant trees together. As long as we sow enough seeds, this world will surely be filled with colors again. If we have enough world tree leaves, we can get a little closer to this goal. Flora spoke about her wish, which also served as the driving force behind smuggling countless prohibited items. She couldn't abandon her homeland, even though it had long been destroyed and disappeared into the history of the witch god's domain. But she still wanted to save this world. With every piece of world tree leaf money she earns, she's one step closer to resurrecting this world. To bring back the completely dead world, which even the witch god's domain has never witnessed, is a miracle that Flora wants to accomplish. That's why she has such high demands for the future half of herself. At that time, she never forgot the promise to her teacher, not even for a second. Even though Dusk Witch was born from destruction and death, she desires to accomplish a miracle similar to creation, which seems impossible. Flora, you can save this world. That was a lie from her teacher. Yes, teacher, even if you are gone and even if this world is forgotten by everyone, I will save it. When this world is filled with life again, I will erect tombstones for you, so that the people who live in this world in the future will remember your names. It was a pact, the promise between Flora and the last witches of this world, as they launched their final attack towards the Great Crow. Flora, we will win. Flora, you are our hope. The task to save the world is now yours. Flora, if I unfortunately die in battle, I hope you will carry my coffin. This great crow is so big. I wonder what it tastes like when grilled. Flora, I have some hidden bread in my room. Let's eat it together when you come back. I envy you, Flora. The task of saving the world is entrusted to you. A promise is a promise. No matter if it's 1,000 years or 10,000 years, she will never forget. She herself is a witch who is going to save the world. Chapter 1320, The World of the Two Whom. By coincidence, Yunshi agreed to plant trees together with Flora amidst the fragrance of golden love. If it's just planting trees, it shouldn't be very difficult, Yunshi thought so naturally. Sir. Thank you. Flora took Yunshi's hand and sent the lilies in her hand soaring into the sky. This bouquet of flowers is a memory of her past, for the friend who always loved snacks and played with her. At the same time, it symbolizes the hope preserved by this long-destroyed world. The white petals danced in the sky, one after another. Wherever the petals passed, the ruins remained ruins, but in the dense cracks, in the grey and white land, a hint of vitality quietly emerged. That was Flora's wish. The witch who saved the world, doing what she could for this world. Flora's wealth could easily buy God's domain, which was 10 times or even 100 times larger than her hometown. It is impossible for even the legend ranked to revive a world destroyed by Great Crow. This is even more difficult than creating a small world. Perhaps, only the existence of the creator rank can achieve this. However, a creator rank wouldn't do this. Several known primordial beings in Endless God's domain, apart from the incarnation of Supreme Dragon God Asher, haven't appeared in public for a long time. Flora sought Asher's help, but even the Dusk Witch with the power of the dimensional shuttle could not make Dragon God Asher intervene. However, at least she received some guidance from His Majesty Dragon God Asher. To revive the world, cultivating a mature world tree would be the best method, not branches or saplings. You must remember that reviving a dead world is equivalent to distorting the rules of the world, and one must bear equal consequences. I don't recommend you to do so. As long as there is hope to revive the world, no matter how faint that hope may be, Flora is willing to do anything. After that, she used her dimensional shuttle to gradually obtain information about the Fairy Clan World Tree. How to take care of World Tree saplings, what to use to cultivate World Tree more effectively, a few myths and legends about World Tree, a simple beginner's guide to World Tree that even monkeys can learn. The more Flora understood the information about the World Tree that the fairies believed in, the more she realized how difficult it was to cultivate a mature World Tree. The resources required for this were an astronomical number, and many of them had long disappeared, leaving even the Fairy Clan helpless. The Fairy Clan in the Endless Gods domain only had one fully mature World Mother Tree. Even with all her wealth combined, she couldn't afford to buy a sapling of the World Tree, which was just the initial investment compared to the massive resources needed for future cultivation. The Endless Gods domain has a long history, and several powerful forces with a good relationship with the Fairy Clan have tried to buy saplings of the World Tree, branches that are essentially split from the mature branches of the World Tree, to try and cultivate them. Among them, the 10 Leaves Alliance has made the most progress. It has spent millions of years and countless resources, but it is said that they have only managed to grow a few dozen leaves on the small sapling of the World Tree, and the next stage seems far away. No problem, as long as there is a goal, it must be achieved. Promise, we must fulfill it well. This is her promise to her teacher, Sue, and the other witches. And now, this promise has added another person. Finally, she is no longer alone in pursuing this unreachable goal. Senior, one day, this world will bloom with flowers again. Holding the hand of the faceless god tightly, even though his hands were cold, Flora still showed a gentle expression. Fingers entwined, hearts connected, this is Flora's happy time. The world became different from this moment. There is nothing scary anymore. In this vast world, she found someone to walk hand in hand with. Today, she is not lonely anymore. She is no longer alone. She feels like she can do anything. If that's the case, this world will surely be very beautiful. She had no idea how difficult planting trees was, as Flora said. He also didn't know how shining he was in Flora's eyes, like a morning star brightening the night sky. This beautiful world belongs to the predecessors and me, Flora proudly pointed at the still barren and lifeless land. This is her hometown, the cradle of the Dusk Witch. Even after 1,000 years, the last generation born here has long turned to dust. Their descendants don't even know the name of their homeland. But as long as Flora remembers, this world is not truly dead. True death is being forgotten, not even having anyone remember you while you're still alive, as if the world has abandoned you. The land that was destroyed by Great Crow a long time ago, even the slime doesn't have a piece of land because of a promise, an obsession. It is still alive, which is the best proof. When this land is full of flowers, I will with the elder. Flora's small face turned red with excitement, stumbling to find the right word. Today is the first day of meeting the elder. Is it progressing too quickly to say marriage already? It seems that the prophecy of the dead snake has really come true, so there's no need to bother her anymore. Today is the best day. It's the time when she met the person she likes. Every minute and second spent with the elder is so happy. This kind of happiness is a dream moment she has never experienced before, although there are moments of unease and panic, but now she finally holds happiness in her hands. I look forward to that moment. She nodded, making the desolate land bloom with flowers once again. It will surely be a very beautiful scenery. Flora is actually a very good witch, you know. The two people holding hands stood in the center of the destroyed world, imagining the future scenery of this world from different perspectives. In Yunshi's eyes, this world belongs to Flora. It is a world that is filled with hope, even in times of despair. He is just a visitor here. In Flora's eyes, this was her and her world, a cradle of love. It was a misunderstanding, or perhaps not really a misunderstanding. This world quietly gained a hint of spring's breath. Chapter 1321, Her Scenery in the Void. The 12 Nightmare Sovereigns watched Flora holding hands with Yunshi in the ruins, each one content. She did it. Indeed, Dusk Witch Flora performed so naturally and attentively. Even with so many talented newcomers today, she remains the most outstanding lady without a doubt. Appearance, demeanor, and expressing hope from despair so thoroughly. I give top marks. Similarly, it's a flawless performance. Absolutely impeccable. Nightmare Sovereign's scoring was extremely strict, and never influenced by any external factors. Even the Golden Crow Princess, protected by the Queen Mother of the West, only had the privilege of choosing the performance order. The scoring itself remained unbiased. 9 points. In history, the first 9 out of 10 score appeared, representing Flora's performance just now reaching a level that even the Nightmare Sovereign found captivating. It was no longer a ladylike performance on the stage. Instead, it was as if Dusk Witch Flora was truly on the stage, professing love to the unfamiliar prince. Among all the participants on the ladylike stage, only she expressed such deep feelings without hesitation. The Nightmare Sovereign didn't dislike beautiful things, which is why they were willing to take on the role of judge at the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. However, what the Nightmare Sovereign considers beautiful differs somewhat from human standards. Showing hope in despair is a trait that the Nightmare Sovereign likes the most, and this trait embodied by Flora, who houses the Great Crow within her, was a perfect match, and was one of the main reasons why Flora is so welcomed at the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. The Great Crow itself holds a special status in the nightmare world, being the only fantasy species of nightmares. The essence of the Dusk Witch, housing the Great Crow, is a future Nightmare Sovereign. That unique constitution, blending the witch and Great Crow aura, is the only exception in the entire nightmare world. 9 out of 10, 8 points. 9 points. One high score after another was achieved, with the unprecedented 9 points appearing repeatedly, indicating that more than one Nightmare Sovereign believed that Flora's performance this time was close to perfect. After all 12 Nightmare Sovereigns completed their evaluations, a super high score that they believed might be unmatched in history appeared. This score was shocking 89 point. Compared to other participants' scores, this score stood out and was in a league of its own. Excluding the highest and lowest scores, this meant that Flora received 9 9-point scores and 1 8-point score, overwhelmingly dominating to become the well-deserved first-place winner of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. Although I knew it would be a high score, I never expected it to be this high. Flora's performance was indeed outstanding, it even moved me. Today, Flora felt more radiant than ever before. Is it because of that outfit? She does look exceptionally beautiful. No, the outfit alone would only add about 5 or 6 points at most. What's more important is the emotions Flora showed today. If I didn't know that Prince was randomly chosen by Ada, I would have thought Flora was truly in love. After scoring, the 12 Nightmare Sovereigns continued to watch with great interest as Flora walked hand in hand with Yunxi among the ruins. This scene was a sight never seen in any previous Red Heart Queen's masquerade. In past Red Heart Queen's masquerades attended by Flora, she would be on stage showcasing her charms, standing alone in the center of the ruins while softly singing folk songs from her homeland, appearing lonely and forlorn. Although that was also a unique beauty that the Nightmare Sovereigns enjoyed, compared to today's performance, it paled in comparison. Although they originally felt that Ada's choice of a seemingly random prince for this Red Heart Queen's masquerade was somewhat unconventional, the Nightmare Sovereigns decided to include such a segment in future editions. Yes, that's right. From now on, the Red Heart Queen's masquerade will always have a prince. We also need to catch an unlucky sacred unicorn to play the role of the white horse. At this moment, Flora, who was immersed in bliss, had already forgotten that this was a stage performance. For her, the scores and final rewards were thrown to the side. Being here, now, walking with the seniors, and it's after a successful confession. This is the best reward in the world. Even 100 portions of the legend-ranked food could not compare to such a happy ending. Seniors, this is the main road. It's the magical path built by us witches. Over there is the magical garden, where there are many strange plants. I once accidentally pulled out a radish, and the scream it made alerted the teachers. It turns out it was a kind of magic herb. Although it was a ruin, everything about this city was so familiar to Flora, as if the time she spent with everyone was just yesterday. Yunxi had never seen Flora's hometown in its original state, but from her cheerful voice, it must have been a peaceful, prosperous place that gave a great sense of happiness. Otherwise, Flora's eyes wouldn't be so joyful. Holding his hand made her feel like a lively deer, bouncing around in a spring field. Sue, who's always running around giving candy to strangers, is a very, very energetic child. She had strange-looking black fruit candies in her hands, but they tasted really great. She always said that when she becomes an excellent witch in the future, she will definitely study magic to make lots of candies. In the future, when this place is revitalized, I will build a special little shop just for her, called Sue's Candy Cottage. When talking about her past experiences with her friends, Flora's eyes looked particularly gentle. After experiencing thousands of years, Flora forgave everything. She forgave her selfish and stubborn teacher, forgave her companions who lied to her and hid the truth. They left her behind, leaving her all alone to guard this devastated world. They probably didn't expect that Flora not only didn't give up on this world, but also truly wanted to save it. Saving the world in crisis and saving the world after death were completely different challenges. But now Flora is confident that she can do it. The reason lies in her fingertips, where she gazes. It was the most beautiful scenery in the world, regardless of race, gender, or the one she loves. Chapter 1322. Overwhelming advantage. As the light curtain slowly fell, a hint of vitality emerged in the ruins, and Flora's hometown disappeared from the stage. Flora left this noble lady's stage more reluctantly than anyone else. With a satisfied expression, she returned to her seat with her head held high. She had the right to be proud. Even without looking at the scores, she knew she must be the first place. Because this performance belonged to her stage, it was a miraculous moment between her and her predecessors. Humph, I told you so. How could my fortune-telling be wrong? Ouroboros gestured towards Flora, swiping from left to right. This represents a stroke to cancel out. From now on, the debt issue between Ouroboros and Flora no longer exists. Well. Flora nodded, showing satisfaction with Ouroboros's service this time. The only downside was, why did they have to wait until the last year of the 999th year of the 1,000 years? This Ouroboros mysterious fortune-telling was really impatient. I have no choice. Fortune-telling is something that you won't know when it will come true until the last moment. Ouroboros shrugged. The full peaks underneath the thin inner robe swayed back and forth. As one of the top fortune-telling masters of the mysterious sect, Ouroboros may not know other things, but the skill of talking nonsense with eyes wide open is definitely full. Even so, she never did a fortune-telling for Dusk Witch Flora. Strange, why does it feel not quite right? Did you really do a fortune-telling for her? Cassina the battle god knew Ouroboros's character. If she really predicted this scene, why would she face Flora with a look of hanging trouble on her face? Of course, no matter how bad her personality is, she is still a great witch, so it's impossible for her not to find a lover. It's just that her standards are too high, and she has only now met the right person. Ouroboros confidently promised that Flora would meet her destined lover in due time. Not to mention the towering mountain peaks that even the rare demon dragon blood couldn't create, they can captivate countless people's hearts. Among the female deities of legend rank, only a few can match Flora in this aspect. Most of them are not even a match for Ouroboros, let alone Cassina the battle god. The fact that a certain multi-headed dragon would be hunted down by a large group of legend-ranked beings is simply destined. Who would have thought that this demon dragon's essence, among all known substances, is almost the only one that can help in the development of the female deities of legend-ranked? 89 points. When the score given by the 12 Nightmare Sovereign's judges was announced, everyone's focus, except for the indifferent Lilibet, shifted to the confident Flora. Well, to be more precise, it was her chest. I envy your big chest, Flora. I'm sure mine will develop well as I grow up, said the Golden Crow Princess, looking at Flora with admiration, gesturing at her own small chest. It was the first time she felt a sense of inferiority. Even though the great sun crow can create the sun, it has no control over the size of its chest. The existence of beings in the legend ranked is related to human-like figures and certain rules of fate beyond their control. Mortals with large chests at the hero-ranked level will also have large chests at the legend ranked. The transition is not sudden like the leap in power levels, but rather a distant evolution. The step from hero-ranked to legend-ranked is a shared transformation of soul and life, marking the first step towards eternity and immortality. The key is what your true self is in your soul, as it will not change much upon becoming legend-ranked. In the Eastern Gods domain Buddhist terminology, it's the true self, the true form, the true body, unchanging in essence. Therefore, if you have a small chest before becoming legend-ranked, it will remain the same after achieving that rank. The growth of life can make you more beautiful, with balanced features, and even change the color of your hair, but the chest area will remain largely unchanged. Even if her body becomes 1,000 times, 10,000 times bigger, the proportion of her chest tilde will still be as big as it should be. For example, the Golden Crow Princess is a divine fantasy species by birth, possessing legendary strength. But due to her young age, her chest tilde battle power in this form is no match for Flora, who is far superior in that aspect. This is the first time the Golden Crow Princess realized that having a big chest gives privileges and can be unreasonable at times, just like in Flora's case. Despite having the protection of her mother, the Queen of the West, she still felt overwhelmed when faced with Flora's imposing chest. It must be an illusion. The Golden Crow Princess raised her tiny fist, confident in her innate divine nature as a fantasy species, the future great sun crow who will develop into an outstanding and perfect woman. Her chest will definitely grow quickly too. Analyze, target Flora, evaluate scores. The Cyber Elf Alpha's eyes were filled with a waterfall of data. Base score, 50 points. Chest tilde bonus points, 15 points. The perfume bonus, 5 points. Perfect dress bonus, 5 points. Performance score, 14 points. Assessment, no errors, entered into the database. Cyber Elf Alpha was paying attention to the starry sky chessboard for the first time, analyzing every single point. Flora got 89 points for countless times, and finally came up with a very unfavorable result for herself. In terms of basic score, she was confident that she could match Flora. However, the bonuses that followed were just too dishonest. With full preparation, the score could still catch up with the bonuses from perfume and dress, but the other two were just impossible. The bonus score for the chest, which worth 15 points, was so brutally high that everyone here was far from overcome it. In this project, the character closest to Flora actually has the lowest score. Cyber Elf Alpha and the Golden Crow Princess could be considered at the bottom level of the pyramid. The performance score was 14 points, and even so, Flora, with her impeccable performance, showed everyone what a true confession is. Even Cyber Elf Alpha made a special copy for reference. Can't win. After analyzing every point Flora earned, Cyber Elf Alpha rarely showed a troubled expression. Following the chess master of the Starry Sky chessboard, this was the second battlefield where she didn't have a sure chance of winning. Search, chest tilde area, enlarge. Chapter 1323, Alpha's new goal. The love for beauty is women's innate desire. Beauty itself is a kind of power, a kind of truth. Most powerful things are usually beautiful. This is a law in the universe. Enlarging breasts and losing weight are always topics that all women in the endless God's domain are interested in throughout their lives. For those of the legend ranked, losing weight is not a problem at all. They have countless ways to prevent themselves from gaining weight. Cyber Elf Alpha, since birth, has rarely eaten meat like fairies, only eating fruits is enough for her. When it comes to materials for enlarging breasts, Cyber Elf Alpha instantly retrieved tens of millions of results. These can be divided into two major categories. The first category consists of very affordable foods with almost no negative effects that anyone can get. Papaya, an evergreen small tree with smooth skin, slightly bitter fruit, low sugar content, rich fruit pulp flavor. It is mainly used as a fruit, and can also be used as a vegetable. It is said to have a slight effect on breast enlargement if eaten daily. Cantaloupe, a member of the sweet melon species, gourd family, oval or round-shaped fruit, crispy and sweet with high sugar content, fragrant smell and delicious taste, also has breast enlargement effect. Milk, an essential nutrient for development, indispensable breast enhancement food, recommended to be consumed from childhood. Similar recommendations include strawberries, muskmelon. A series of recommended foods that are loved by both commoners and noble princesses. Unfortunately, none of these foods have any effect on reaching the legend ranked, and those in the legend ranked cannot make their breasts bigger with these foods. Cyber Elf Alpha silently noted down this list and decided to make a small improvement to her diet. The second category is quite diverse, with various methods available. Black magic, grab a slime, then use a forbidden spell to merge it into your chest, and you will discover a whole new world. Sea serpent, eat many sea serpents, preferably those that can release white sticky fluid. The older and fiercer, the better. Curse to make your breasts bigger. White magic, peaceful dove transformation spell, grab a sacred peaceful dove, cast a spell to apply it to your chest, and you will immediately get a dove-sized enlargement effect. Why does this look so familiar? Eating, a rare creature living in lakes that can spit out white liquid, can help with growth, with minimal effects below the legend ranked. Blessing, applying a sacred blessing to your chest to make it bigger. Trickery, magic bra, gathers all the flesh around and squeezes the back and lower abdomen. Even if you're an A cup, you can become a C cup. Full silicone breast enhancer, with this, no need to fear having a small chest, they can be made to look bigger. New illusion technique, with a touch, your eyes and chest can appear much bigger. As long as you don't meet the other party, they won't notice. Well, women will go to great lengths just to make their chests bigger. From white magic to black magic, even necromancy modifications, there are similar methods aplenty, but none have any effect on the legend ranked. As for the deep sea black sea serpent and similar white species, if discovered once, they quickly become extinct. Attempts at artificial breeding have all failed. Cyber Elf Alpha searched all the available data and found many new dishes to add to their eating list. After excluding methods that only worked for regular people and had weak effects on hero-ranked individuals, they finally discovered a breast enlargement secret specifically for legendary female warriors, but only one lonely result remained. This was the ultimate solution to the problems faced by all female beings in the endless God's domain, from regular people to hero-ranked individuals, and even the legendary female warriors. There was nothing else like it. The fresh blood of the multi-headed dragon contained a special life-enhancing substance, a miraculous potion effective for all races. Every female who used it experienced a 100% increase in their chest size, including many female deities and even the one who slew the god, the Sky Sword. Due to its incredible and immediate effects, The multi-headed dragon had dominated the top of Endless Gods Domain's reward lists for many years, with a vial of its blood often ignite a legendary war. The blood of the multi-headed dragon was priceless, no amount of money could buy it. In the few recorded battles against the multi-headed dragon, those who acquired its lifeblood usually used it immediately. One of the places where extra blood of the multi-headed dragon had been found was at the Red Heart Queen's ball. A small quantity had been offered as a final prize. They say that during the Red Heart Queen's ball, many female deities risked losing intelligence to the power of nightmares in order to seize the blood of the multi-headed dragon. A god-slaying sky sword eventually obtained the blood of the multi-headed dragon, angering over a dozen nightmare sovereigns and escaping from the venue. This is the world's final kindness to flat-chested women. Why did that demon dragon run away? I only need a small bottle, just one small bottle. Multi-headed dragon, stop running away, come into everyone's bowls now. No one will harm you, just be obedient and provide the blood. Small breasts are an incurable condition, only the blood of the multi-headed dragon can save us. The genetics in our family are too despairing, we absolutely need demon dragon blood. In the Cyber Elf Alpha database, there are countless tales of young girls longing for the demon dragon's blood, which is the only divine medicine recognized by all women in the Endless Gods domain. To find and hunt down the powerful multi-headed dragon that once escaped from dozens of the legend-ranked fighters, the Dragon Blood Alliance was born in Endless Gods domain, the most widespread force with the highest number of female members. After millions of years, this alliance has cultivated dragon-attracting grass, combined various magical medicines into one body, and grown to become one of the strongest alliances in Endless Gods domain. Well, it's not surprising at all, as women's pursuit of beauty knows no limits, including Cyber Elf Alpha. Add new instructions, incorporate new algorithms, and calculate the areas where the multi-headed dragon could escape. Cyber Elf Alpha casually issued a new command to her planet's quantum computing units. The priority of this command ranks just below the highest priority set for enhancing the computing power of the planet's quantum computing units. Let us observe a moment of silence for a demon dragon currently in flight. Chapter 1324. The second round of challenges. Coincidentally, on the other side of the dining table, Shea Longness the Sky Sword, a slime creature, watched Flora's flawless performance with a pensive expression. Indeed, would having a slightly larger chest be better? She reached out to squeeze her slightly protruding chest, feeling regretful for splitting this already limited essence into smaller parts. Inside the faceless god, in Yunshi's dragon jade, the green Parfu rolled around, protesting. Parfu. 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 It seems that Shea Longness's regret about her own chest also affected the innocent and lovely Parfu. Among all the legend-ranked participants in the Red Heart Queen's masquerade, perhaps only Lilibet the Azure Excalibur was indifferent to the perfect interpretation of the Dusk Witch. Whether it's 89 points or 9 points, it has nothing to do with Lilibet. The first round is over. The highest score goes to the Great Witch Flora from the Witch God's domain, with 89 points. The second place goes to Lilibet with 71 points, tied with Cassina the Battle God. After ranking the participants of the first round, the 12 Nightmare Sovereigns had to admit that this was truly the highest standard masquerade of the Red Heart Queens ever. Even the last place Ouroboros scored 39 points, which was the lowest score in this edition, but considered above average in the history of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. Many goddesses known for their beauty couldn't even score 30 points, which is the pass mark in the eyes of Nightmare Sovereigns. The rest of the 6 participants. Shea Longness scored 63 points. Cassina the Battle God scored 71 points. The Golden Crow Princess scored 60 points. Cyber Elf Alpha scored 70 points. Lilibet the Azure Excalibur 71 points. Dusk Witch Flora 89 points. The past winners of Red Heart Queen's masquerade mostly scored around 60 points, with the highest record being Flora's 69 points. This time, there were 3 people at the champion level of 60 points, and 3 others broke the highest historical score of 69 points together, raising the highest score for the ladies at the ball to 70 points. What was even more astonishing was the score obtained by Flora, who appeared last. 89 points. This level of performance made all the goddesses who had participated in Red Heart Queen's masquerade in the past feel ashamed to show their faces. Even the Nightmare Sovereigns believed that this score was unparalleled, and it was unlikely that even Flora herself could surpass this record. Despite there being 2 more rounds of trials, the Nightmare Sovereigns unanimously agreed that Flora's advantage was nearly unshakable. With her naturally perfectionistic personality, overcoming her at this advantageous score was an impossible task. Even a powerful young god like Cyber Elf Alpha, who has the potential to create worlds, knew deep down that he would lose to the captivating Flora. At that moment, Flora, who had won both love and victory, felt proud. The only thing that puzzled her was why the Kara curse, which cost her 1/10 of her fortune to activate, had backfired on her. Fortunately, she had always admired her predecessors, so even though she was cursed, it didn't bother her much. Her heart just felt even more passionate. This is what love is all about. Next up is a short break time. Contestants can socialize freely and enjoy the delicious food brought by the Nightmare Chefs. The second round of trials will begin shortly. This time's trial will be completely different from the first round. Everyone, please prepare yourselves mentally. The 12 Nightmare Sovereigns announced the end of the first round of the ladies' stage, then proceeded to discuss their experiences at the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. What a wonderful party it was. This trip was definitely worth it. Flora is the big winner, just as I predicted she would be the favorite. I knew I would win this time. I said betting on Flora would definitely pay off. It's a shame, I only have this many leaves now, otherwise I would definitely bet more. Actually, Cassina the Battle God and Lilibet are also doing well. In any other year without Flora, they would easily win. This time Flora is really impressive. How can she act so dreamily? I'm almost falling for her just watching. In the void, Nightmare Sovereign, who bet on Flora, is all smiles, while those who bet on other contestants are full of regret. Including the banker Nightmare Sovereign, everyone believes that the winner of this year's Red Heart Queen's masquerade is almost certain after the first round. The score of 89 is as unshakable as a mountain. Flora's elegance has surpassed all contestants of this year and previous years. Still riding the sacred unicorn on stage, Yunshi agreed with the Nightmare Sovereign's viewpoint that Flora was the most outstanding on this stage. Compared to him, who was not a very qualified prince, Flora as the princess was the main character. The emotions she displayed made Yunshi's heart pound, almost unable to resist hugging her and wanting to kiss her a moment ago. Fortunately, at the last moment, Yunshi stopped himself and preserved his integrity as a gentleman. Flora, tell me, how can I make my chest bigger? Have you used demon dragon blood? Even children like the Golden Crow Princess know that demon dragon blood is good stuff. Yes, that's very realistic. Looks like. I have to find that demon dragon too. Before becoming a mother, Shea Longness actually didn't care much about the size of her chest. However, after having the adorable daughter White Moon, she suddenly missed her physique from her time as the Queen of Assyria. The Queen of Assyria, who is an adult, is not small at all. Unfortunately, the Queen of Assyria is only a part of Shea Longness's personality. Shea Longness's true self, well, her strength is probably less than 1/3 of the Queen of Assyria's. Recently, a part of it even split off, making things worse. Big breasts are amazing. Ouroboros was almost falling down drunk, his eyes spinning, speaking the absolute truth. Even if Flora doesn't think, she already has a minimum score of 60 points. Putting 15 points into her breasts would definitely be a big help. Even Ouroboros, who looks so useless and performed terribly on the stage for ladies, still got a decent score of 39. The bonus points for his breasts are definitely over 8. In this world, some things are just unfair. After discussing the topic of breasts enthusiastically for 15 minutes, Ada shook her wine glass, spilling out blood-red words. The second round of the ladies' stage is beginning. This time's challenge is the Prince's Confession time. Chapter 1325, Let's Get on the Ship hee. The Red Heart Queen, immersed in the dance party, looked at the ladies below the dining table with the Nightmare Sovereigns in the void with a bewildered expression, and laughed happily. Wild and daring. Willful and mysterious. This is Red Heart Queen Ada. You will never guess what she will do, just like how there has never been a dance party in Nightmare World in the past. Only she has the privilege to be willful. The procession from Nightmare World, the teacup soldiers, and the gourmet chefs are not easily commanded by anyone. Not to mention, the nightmare chefs who can create legend-ranked delicacies are capable of challenging the high-ranking nightmare sovereigns. Unfortunately, whether it's the teacup soldiers, the procession, or the gourmet chefs, they only appear during the dance party, making Red Heart Queen Ada's position in Nightmare World unique. She is the only one who gets to decide theme for each dance party. This year's dance party has a blind date theme. In the first round, ladies from all over Endless God's domain, coming from different backgrounds and races, portray themselves as princesses to show their charm to the prince and earn points. In the second round, it's the opposite, the prince confesses to the ladies who just showcased their charm. Surprisingly, even the nightmare sovereigns never expected the second round to be like this. But, it's quite interesting, isn't it? The tipsy Red Heart Queen Ada had a pleased look in her eyes, eager to see how things would unfold. Why is it like this? Seniors should confess to everyone. The first one unable to accept this was Flora, who had just portrayed perfect lady charm. She could hardly believe that the challenge of the second round was so chaotic. 7 princesses show their charm to a prince and the prince confesses to all 7 princesses at the same time. Is this a real thing? Protest, protest, serious protest. If it weren't for the 12 nightmare sovereigns glaring ominously in the void, she would have wanted to elope with the bewildered senior on the stage right away. This is too harsh for the senior. Confessing to 7 women at the same time is like a public execution. Why can't you just get along with the senior? Flora doesn't want the senior to confess to anyone else. Oh, is that so? The curious Golden Crow princess looked at the still expressionless god on the stage. She has never been confessed to by anyone in her life, but just saw Flora's perfect confession performance, truly a top student scoring 100 in love lesson. Flora was a student of the faceless god, and he was excellent as a teacher. Anyway, since everyone is a girl, it's okay to practice. Clearly, the innocent Golden Crow princess had no concept of love between people of the same sex. Oh. Ouroboros opened its mouth, licking its lips, and looked greedily at the faceless god on the stage. To be confessed to by a fresh and lovely girl. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Hopeless, this useless snake. Cassina the battle god shrugged at Ouroboros's drooling expression. However, she was also slightly looking forward to it. This very ancient-looking deity, what will they say in this second round of challenges? What puzzled Cassina the battle god from the beginning was why she, as a prince in the first round, didn't have any points. For now it looks like her test is in the second round. Looks quite interesting. Shea Longness squinted at the faceless god on the stage. Even though it was their first meeting, she felt a strange familiarity with this ancient deity. As one of the disciples of the Abyss, she wasn't the type who enjoyed being close to people. In fact, she really disliked forming relationships with others. From the faceless god, she felt a strange sense of destiny. Is it an enemy? Or a disciple from the same camp? Despite being a deity, the faceless god emitted a mysterious aura. Its inorganic yet beautiful face seemed unapproachable from afar, but it was not the case in reality. What kind of performance will this ancient god, in the guise of a prince, deliver? Why does she feel this strange sense of fate? Perhaps there will be an answer soon. Calculating, gathering information. Cyber Elf Alpha stared at the faceless god, starting to habitually build the database. Due to the lack of information about this mysterious ancient deity in the Mechanical Gods Domain database, all the data is estimated and requires countless revisions to get closer to the truth. Elder must be very troubled. Why would there be such challenging challenges to people? Flora looked with compassion at the faceless god walking back and forth on the stage. Coming up with this challenge for the prince to confess to the 7 princesses, Ada was incredibly ruthless. Isn't this like publicly betraying 7 people? Amongst everyone, only Lilibet didn't care at all, since it didn't concern her. She just waited for the ball to end so she could continue pursuing Shea Longness. Just like Flora thought, she was really troubled. Why is the second round of trials in this form? Having to confess to all 7 of the legend-ranked, including one who is their first love. Isn't this disastrous? Unfortunately, he knows all 7 of the legend ranked except Flora. If this matter is exposed in the future, it will be a disaster. He will definitely die. How did a hero-ranked baker end up in this situation at the legendary ball? He shouldn't be here among all the legend-ranked guests. Why is he on this stage? Who allowed this Red Heart Queen's masquerade to begin? It was him. He's the one who got Red Heart Queen Ada drunk. Yunshi now understands the consequences of his actions. He has no choice. Below the stage, 6 out of the 7 legendary figures are watching him. There's no escaping, he has to face it. Yunshi is getting nervous, as if he can see a future where he's in trouble for getting involved in something he shouldn't have. Parfu. Parfu. Inside the dragon's gem, Parfu, who knows nothing about Yunshi's situation, cheers on his owner. No problem, master. Stepping on 1 boat or 2 boats is the same. Stepping on more can improve your balance. Walking on a tightrope, it's like walking on flat ground. Ah. I know there's nowhere to go. There's no road ahead, we can only board the ship. Endless sea of bitterness. Chapter 1326. Incorrect usage of the heavenly demon. The boundless sea of bitterness. Turn back to find the shore. Yunshi remembered the encounter with Master Moha Mystery on the starry sky chessboard. He was a true monk, a master of Buddhism. In the first round, when he was the prince, it was easy. He just had to stand still to get through. The faceless god never showed any expression, so it was impossible to tell what it was thinking. But in the second round, he couldn't just coast by. Confessing his feelings required showing genuine emotions. A prince wouldn't confess to a princess with a blank face, right? At that moment, Yunshi thought through all the battle skills he knew, but couldn't find a way to break the deadlock. Yunhai's quadrant sword had no solution for love. Even the sky-flying sword couldn't fly away from here. Whether it's a strong body or a soft body, battle god instructor Cassina was here. The god without a face went into a frenzy mode. Parfu seemed to be acting strangely. Offering bread as a bribe to the contestants, wouldn't that make you die even faster? Is there a way to instantly become a master of love confession? And it's the kind of super quick start method that can impress the legends, preferably something that can be learned quickly, like a life-saving manual like Love from Beginners to Marriage that even monkeys can learn. The sea of bitterness knows no bounds, but there is a shore when you turn back. If I don't go to hell, who will? Amitabha. Ah. Why at a time like this, would I think of Buddhist teachings? Is he really destined to be connected to Buddhism? But at a time like this, even if you put down the butcher's knife and want to become a Buddha right away, it's too late. Buddhism? At that moment, Yunshi suddenly remembered that he had practiced a secret Buddhist technique. Its name is the Parinirmita Vasavatin Scroll. In an instant, Yunshi had a sudden realization and thought of a way to save himself. Oh yes, he could also use the heavenly demon. Originally, the purpose of practicing this Buddhist secret technique was to increase his resistance to desires. However, things went awry during the final stages of the practice, summoning the unwanted heavenly demon, and eventually even involving a terrifying demon king from the depths of the abyss. The Parinirmita Vasavatin Scroll, a Buddhist scripture, emphasizes facing the heavenly demon, overcoming it with one's own Buddha nature, thereby achieving enlightenment, and transcending worldly troubles. Yunshi wasn't sure if he had achieved enlightenment, but he had indeed mastered the Parinirmita Vasavatin Scroll. In a rush to find a cure for the illness, there was no time to think about it. Luckily, the Parinirmita Vasavatin Scroll doesn't rely on the power of the stars. It focuses more on spiritual and soul-related abilities, so it wasn't affected by the curse of Asha. This is the only skill Yunshi has mastered that can be useful now. Hoping to get through this, Yunshi took a deep breath. A strong instinct told Yunshi that the next test was crucial for him. He didn't expect high marks, just not to be at the bottom. Although the Parinirmita Vasavatin Scroll isn't meant for battle, at this point, they had to make the best of a bad situation. So, let the second round begin. The first lady chosen is a beam of light fell on Ouroboros, whose face turned red. Haha, excuse me. Ouroboros chuckled, wagging its tail as it took the stage for the second time. Activate the Paranamita Vasavartin scroll. This was Yun Shi's first time using the secret Buddhist technique of the Paranamita Vasavartin scroll, targeting Ouroboros and releasing it. Ah, finally out. A charming voice echoed in Yun Shi's mind. Is it the Enchantress? Yun Shi immediately guessed the owner of this voice. In the heavenly demon of endless God's domain, the Enchantress is the most famous. The heavenly demon mentioned in the Buddhist records mostly refers to beings like the Enchantress. They are naturally enchanting women who captivate people's hearts, causing trouble with their stunning beauty. No problem, leave everything to me. The difficulty level of targeting this opponent is 0. A voice appeared in Yun Shi's mind, looking at the opponent for this time, and lightly smiled. Instead of being as difficult as tempting a mighty king, ruler, or wise person, it's not too simple for the Enchantress to resist the temptation of just a useless snake. Oh, it's still here. Good wine. Good wine. Good wine. Ouroboros sniffed and looked at the familiar scenery around. When she confessed to Yun Shi, this was the scenery that appeared. Hydera's wine cellar, the best place in the world. There was endless wine to drink, and it was also the safest hiding place in the world. She could stay here for 100 years without leaving. Ding dong! A strange sound echoed softly in the wine cellar, followed by a scent that Ouroboros couldn't resist as it spread out. What is this smell? Ouroboros widened her eyes, looking at the figure slowly approaching her. Still expressionless, but the eyes were full of gentleness and allure. Don't think that the Enchantress is the kind of person who takes off her clothes to seduce others with her body. That is just the lowest trick. The true Enchantress, with every smile, every step, every sway of her body, naturally radiated a captivating charm that made hearts flutter. The faceless god at this moment was the perfect example, with nothing extraordinary about its appearance, yet it moved in a way that left even Ouroboros perplexed. What a delightful smell! Gulp. Ouroboros swallowed, the thin nightshirt almost soaked with sweat. Strange, it wasn't this enticing just a moment ago. What was causing this scent? Mixed with the fragrance of a beautiful girl was a scent of wine like no other. Just one of those scents would be enough to drive Ouroboros crazy. The combination of both would be disastrous. Care for a drink? Yun Shi offered a smile that was impossible to refuse, holding a glass of wine mixed with a drop of Hydera poison in front of Ouroboros. Awake now. Fully awake. The aroma of Hydera's wine surpassed even the red wine made by nightmare gourmet chefs. It's not that the red wine is bad, it's just that compared to the divine era's wine, it's not at the same level at all. This is the kind of wine that can drive all the alcoholics in the endless god's domain crazy. Even the demons would dance after drinking this poisonous wine. Ouroboros felt like he had fallen. All right, decision made. Eat up, whether it's wine or beautiful girls. Only children make choices, adults take everything. Chapter 1327. The Enchantress. Don't get me wrong, although in Cassina the battle god's eyes it's a worthless snake, and this generation's Red Heart Queen's masquerade score is definitely going to be at the bottom, but Ouroboros is truly not a fantasy creature that lacks presence. In the mysterious endless god's domain, there was a renowned fortune teller. Some of her predictions have yet to come true, but some have been accurate. For those at the legend ranked, this is enough. Despite Ouroboros's seemingly weak fighting abilities, many legendary figures seek her fortune-telling services and try to attract her attention. Although she accepts payment for her predictions, Ouroboros often neglects her duties by not providing accurate results. With a score of 39, she had already surpassed most of the goddesses competing in the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. After all, having a great figure gave extra points. Ouroboros had sensed the scent of the poisonous wine sent by Yun Shi from Hydera long before it arrived. Ah, how wonderful! This world is so beautiful. As Ouroboros indulged in the wine cellar of Hydera, she watched the beautiful girls and wine, feeling tempted. Actually, quite a few people have chased after Ouroboros, the mysterious fortune teller who ranks first in the endless god's domain, willing to keep her. Although not as exaggerated as Flora, Ouroboros has a great figure and is lazy and silly, making it easy to take care of her. However, Ouroboros is not interested in the opposite sex and has surprisingly high standards. She likes innocent and lovely beautiful girls, but they have to suit her taste. Ouroboros dreams of a decadent life where she drinks alcohol and gets close to cute and tender girls with fragrant skin. Unfortunately, girls that can satisfy her are as rare as wines that can satisfy her. Last time, she finally found one, but it turned out to be a disciple of Cassina the battle god with a big you-know-what under her skirt, and she ended up losing everything, a real loss. This time, she must make a profit and recover everything. Ouroboros, licking her scented tongue, rubbing her long legs under the thin nightdress, got excited by the double stimulation. Now, she had completely forgotten where she was and was ready to eat everything clean. Have a drink. Yunshi's voice was soft, gentle, and delightful, not at all like a world-class enchantress. A true enchantress could captivate souls without a perfect face or body, even with the faceless god's forever expressionless steel body. Your voice is so pleasant. Ouroboros happily stuck out its tongue and took a small sip of Hydera's poisonous wine. Wow. This is so amazing. The perfect texture and the stimulating explosion on the tip of the tongue, like a rich aroma that could poison millions, this was the best wine she had ever tasted in her life. Moreover, there was a taste in the wine that she especially liked. It must be the taste of a beautiful girl. Fine wine, beautiful girl, Ouroboros had both of its favorite things in the world. The fusion of two kinds of happiness turned into even greater happiness. This world is amazing, she could face this challenge 1,000 times. I will feed you. Enchantress controlled the faceless god, lightly dipped her fingertips in some wine, and then brought it to Ouroboros' lips. Ah! Ouroboros bit down on the finger, the mix of two flavors making her feel intoxicated. Feeling dizzy. How could there be such a wonderful thing in this world? The transparent wine spread between Ouroboros' lips and tongue, while Enchantress' fingertips started gently moving Ouroboros' teeth. In angles unseen by others, Enchantress skillfully used the heavenly demon's well-practiced fingertip techniques. Regardless of race or gender, those were techniques that could conquer anyone, but they seemed wasted on Ouroboros, who lacked experience. In the lessons of love, Yunshi was qualified to be the teacher of Flora, the Golden Crow Princess, and Cyber Elf Alpha. Enchantress' skill in finger techniques could keep Yunshi learning for a lifetime. Ouroboros never imagined that the entanglement of just fingers and tongues could make her dizzy and trembling from tongue to toes. The rich wine, combined with the seemingly magical fingers, made Ouroboros' body relax in less than a minute. The crimson cheeks, the blush under the thin nightgown, and the curled and extended snow-white toes made Ouroboros exude a charming feminine appeal. This is also one of Enchantress's talents, being able to captivate souls regardless of the opponent's gender. When Enchantress withdrew her fingers, a transparent silver thread with a sweet fragrance emerged between her snow-white fingertips and Ouroboros' lips, creating an indescribable allure. Her fingertips brushed Ouroboros' cheek as Enchantress raised the wine glass, taking a sip herself before offering the rest to Ouroboros in the palm of his hand. Is this enough as a proposal gift? That was the whisper of the heavenly demon, far more seductive than the strange mumblings of the ancient gods. It hit Ouroboros right in the heart, causing multiple critical hits. Enough. Ouroboros lowered his head and stuck out his tongue to lick the wine glass in Enchantress's hand, one lick after another. A happy glow was on her blushing cheeks. She didn't care, she just loved this wine, and this cute little hand. Her proposal was just too irresistible to refuse. Forget about this being a dance performance, even in real life, being confessed to by such a lovely girl, she couldn't say no. Smack. Under the stage, Flora crushed the wine glass in her hand, and the wine splattered her hands like blood. This shameless snake, don't you know how to say no? Where do you get the audacity to accept a senior's proposal? Even if it's just a performance, you shouldn't agree, you clearly wanted to take advantage of your senior earlier. I will hold you accountable, shameless waste of a snake. In the void, a strange silence, the 12 nightmare sovereigns peered at each other, emitting different strange fluctuations. Where did they find this prince? I think Ada chose him, but I don't remember. Strange, this kind of charm shouldn't go unnoticed. Her performance is really excellent. Chapter 1328, Saint Demon's Charm. So, I wish you a bright future, my princess. Enchantress elegantly lifted the almost empty cup, took the last drop of Hydera's fine wine, declaring her complete victory. Even the legendary Ouroboros could not resist the temptation of the heavenly demon Enchantress. The heavenly demon creature was born to bring trouble. Whether Enchantress, Saint Demon, or Azura, wherever the heavenly demon appeared, it would surely bring significant waves of fate. A chaotic world, a stage intertwined with countless destinies. People who believe in the gods. Young boys and girls with the status of the chosen ones. A bloody battlefield. The bigger the fate poem, the more it can summon the arrival of the heavenly demon. Whether it's the tempting Enchantress, the divine Saint Demon, or the warlike Azura, none of them are immune to it. All of this fully satisfies Red Heart Queen's masquerade. Yunshi unintentionally found himself involved in the terrifying Azura scene, which made the Enchantress extremely satisfied. This kind of stage, where one walks on a tightrope and risks their life to perform, is perfect for the heavenly demon. Just being on this stage makes the Enchantress so excited that she wants to hug Yunshi and give him a kiss. Phew, bring me another drink. Ouroboros fell, with his whole head and chest buried in the Enchantress's lap, enjoying the beauty's lap pillow service. In such days, she could live for 1,000 years. In the emptiness, the 12 Nightmare Sovereigns unanimously approved the Enchantress's strategy after seeing Ouroboros completely let down its guard. This prince is really special. Ada has a good eye. Where did she find him? For the next competition, we can invite her to participate. She has unlimited potential just like Flora. I always feel like she might unexpectedly fit well in our nightmare world. As the curtain fell, the drunk Ouroboros lay on the table next to Cassina the battle god, looking completely fascinated. The taste of this wine? Cassina the battle god curiously leaned over to Ouroboros's mouth, smelling it, and couldn't resist licking his own lips. Did I feel like I missed something? Was it just an illusion? Flora raised her eyebrows, the sword marks on her cheek almost showing a murderous intent like blood, her target locked on the limp and useless snake. The prince's score needed to be assessed by all 7 princesses, unlike the princess's scoring standard just now, so the second princess was quickly selected. This opponent is not simple at all. Cyber Elf Alpha, she doesn't seem like the type to be easily moved. The new electronic god, almost aloof from worldly affairs, is an object that cannot be conquered. Although Yunshi's potential was highly regarded, when the second princess took the stage, all Nightmare Sovereigns felt that this time the prince would face a setback. In terms of character difficulty, conquering Cyber Elf Alpha is probably only second to Lilibet the Azure Excalibur, who doesn't care at all about the Red Heart Queen's masquerade this time. Even in the critical eyes of the Nightmare Sovereigns, Cyber Elf Alpha's future is destined to shock the entire Endless Gods domain. The Cyber Elf, born from the mechanical gods domain that fundamentally lacks a belief system, is the source that turned God Crystal into a rare treasure. All past experiments of the fairy clan involving God Crystal had failed, but this time they succeeded, reaping enough rewards to offset all previous failures. It's Alpha. Yunshi knew how to win over Alpha, but he knew he couldn't use that method. Amidst the swirling nebula, Yunshi quickly listed 3 strategies using the Paranormata Vasavartin scroll. The first strategy, revealing himself as the starry sky chess master, Alpha would surely ask to play chess. Catching her off guard while playing, it would be easy for him to propose. The second strategy, not revealing his identity as the starry sky chess master, just playing chess with Alpha and winning her over to gain her favor. The third strategy, still playing chess, but... So, this was the plan. For Cyber Elf Alpha, there was no better way to fall in love than through playing chess. Saint Demon, the heavenly demon, was perfect for this strategy. Understood, leave it to me. Compared to the passionate Enchantress, Saint Demon, with her natural aura of a saint, had a slightly colder demeanor, exuding purity and holiness. Throughout history, saint demons were revered as holy figures in various churches and factions, known as priestesses and divine messengers. Despite being heavenly demons, few ever realized their true nature. Similarly, throughout history, saint demons' endings are also similar, all ending in martyrdom for their country, absorbing the immense sadness, despair, and mourning caused by their deaths to grow. Enchantresses, seducing those who hold the power of fate, stir up trouble to interfere in destiny and gain power. Saint demons, gathering people to fight for their beliefs with their own virtues and actions, then becoming the focal point of destiny through their own deaths, reaping longing. Asuras don't bother with such complexity, they directly engage in battle until darkness falls, either you die or I live, gaining power on the battlefield. The heavenly demons known by people are mostly the first type enchantresses, while the second type saint demons, and the third type asuras are rare species. Their appearances always lead to greater chaos and wars than enchantresses. Or perhaps, they are species inherently summoned by the waves of destiny, like how dark clouds will inevitably bring thunder, and earthquakes will make lava boil. Let's play chess. When facing Cyber Elf Alpha, this is the declaration that excites and delights the newly born electronic gods the most. Do you know how to play Starry Sky chess? Cyber Elf Alpha looked excitedly at Saint Demon across from him, never expecting to encounter such a good opportunity while attending the Red Heart Queen's party. She had a feeling that the Saint Demon in front of her was very powerful, making her feel eager to engage in a mental battle. Okay. Most of the time, Saint Demon, a girl who wasn't good with words, could directly influence the flow of destiny with her mere presence. This pure, crystal-like girl was loved by all the gods, an unparalleled talent in practicing divine arts, a beauty that countless heroes fell for. Isn't there a saying that goes, "The best things are the ones you can't have"? Discovered by the church for her divine arts aptitude, it was only a matter of time before she surpassed her peers to become the Holy Maiden, dazzling all the geniuses of her era. And then, she decisively sacrificed herself to achieve a miracle. Unlike the Enchantress, she left countless heroes lifelong scars using a different technique. Chapter 1329. The Three-Eyed Holy Maiden Demonic Saintess's special ability is clairvoyance. It's characterized by a third eye on the forehead, allowing the user to possess an intuitive vision. Being without the known traits of a heavenly demon, even the gods considered them a rare and sacred species, often choosing them as their spokespersons. With her third eye, she can manifest her mental powers and travel through the vast world. They are incarnations of heavenly demons who only appear in times of great calamity, often choosing death to bring about greater changes in the flow of destiny. Saint Demon is skilled at playing Starry Sky chess and has played many intense matches, even reaching a draw with Norn, the god of wisdom, in the Endless Gods domain. Among the renowned Starry Sky chess players recorded in the Seven Towers, Saint Demon holds 5 seats, yet she didn't arrive in this era to witness Cyber Elf Alpha's rise. Cyber Elf Alpha enjoys playing chess, and Saint Demon, with her clairvoyant powers, also takes pleasure in the game. Through a pact with Yun Shi, Saint Demon discovers a surprising truth. Before him, the boy who had completed the scroll of the Paranormita Vasavatin, is now the strongest in the Endless Gods domain, a star chess player without equal. A Starry Sky chess master, this is a glory that not even the gifted Saint Demons possess, the ultimate proof of intelligence in the Endless Gods domain. The Saint Demon contracted with Yun. She expressed that if other members of her clan knew about this, they would definitely come looking for Yun Shi. Perhaps the most important reason she was summoned by the Paranormita Vasavatin scroll. Even Yun Shi himself may not know what the title of Starry Sky Chess Master truly signifies. Just like the battle god, it symbolizes the pinnacle position in the Endless Gods domain, representing countless legends. Even a mere mortal with this title will receive endless glory and benefits, advancing to the legend ranked is a sure thing. More importantly, it signifies a shift in the fate river of the Endless Gods domain, automatically attracting the attention of fate itself. For the heavenly demons who feed on the emotions of wise beings, this is an irresistible temptation. Moreover, being crowned the peak of wisdom, this is what excites Saint Demon the most. Saint Demon, who possesses divine intelligence, has a special penchant for fate's chosen ones, often focusing her attention on them the most. Yun Shi is now being watched by Saint Demon and feels truly contented. This person is qualified to make a pact with Saint Demon, to know Saint Demon's true identity, to know Saint Demon's power. As a rare type of heavenly demon, Saint Demon has the ability to see the course of fate and to grasp the power of destiny. Guess first. Sitting in front of Cyber Elf Alpha, the Starry Sky chessboard appeared between them. Not using Yun Shi's Starry Sky Chess Master authority, but Saint Demon's own past star chess player authority. Due to the new rules, Saint Demon's ranking was divided into 3 tiers, with a huge gap compared to Cyber Elf Alpha's tier. Three-eyed Holy Maiden, Cyber Elf Alpha paid special attention to the opponent's codename, a name that she has not played against but has been recorded in the history of the Starry Sky chessboard. In ancient times, during a period after the Twilight of the Gods, someone once held the title of the best player in the Starry Sky chessboard, but was later surpassed by Norn the God of Wisdom. Intuition is correct, she is a worthy opponent to take seriously. So, how much of her brain power can she bring to the table? Should she give 1% of her full power, or go for even higher authority? In order to enhance her chess skills, Cyber Elf Alpha has recently started learning to restrain her brain power when playing against opponents, keeping it limited to about 10 times the normal calculation level of the legend ranked. 100 times more brain power advantage leads to entirely different strategies compared to having a 10 times advantage. Having a 10 times calculation power advantage doesn't guarantee Cyber Elf Alpha absolute victory when playing against the God of Wisdom and the Jewel Princess. She might even face disadvantages in the opening stages. However, this is the situation Cyber Elf Alpha desires, as she rarely encounters the elusive A cloud in the sky. Suppressing her brain power and playing against opponents with 4 or 5 levels below her is her daily joy. Facing the 3-level three-eyed Holy Maiden in front of her gives her a similar feeling as when playing against the God of Wisdom and the Jewel Princess, which might give her a taste of danger. The result of the guess game was that Saint Demon went first. Plop. The crisp sound of a piece being placed, Saint Demon put her piece in the corner, which was a normal move for a star chess player. On the other hand, Cyber Elf Alpha chose the Tianyuan opening, which she recently liked to use as her starting move. It's not about imitating anyone, but under the dominance of her calculating power, she set rules for herself. She wanted to know why the Starry Sky Chess Master was so persistent in using the Tianyuan move. Master, can you support me? Saint Demon asked Yun Shi, who was watching the game. Normally, this would be against the rules, but Saint Demon and Yun Shi were now in a state of unity, approaching the concept of a heavenly demon, which didn't have a physical body. The so-called heavenly demon, a terrifying creature that feeds on the emotions and thoughts of intelligent beings, is something even monks fear in the Buddhist world. According to the rules of the Starry Sky chessboard, there was no distinction between the heavenly demon and Yun Shi as separate entities. When acting on Saint Demon's will, she could simply use her past privileges. Alright, how to move next? For Yun Shi, Starry Sky Chess is probably the best game he plays in the world. Till now, he didn't realize how honorable the title of Starry Sky Chess Master really is. Even the lofty Saint Demon herself was amazed by this achievement. To lose gracefully. To make her feel pain. Saint Demon's strategy is simple yet effective. Whether being crushed by Cyber Elf Alpha or crushing Cyber Elf Alpha, it doesn't achieve the best result. Lure the opponent in, give them hope and then despair, slowly guiding their emotions until they burst out fiercely in the end. Sounds familiar, right? When Saint Demon walked among mortals, that's how she treated the chosen ones. Without having to give anything, not even allowing a touch, yet causing lifelong pain to the other, that's what makes Saint Demon terrifying. They never need to attack like Enchantress, just a glance, a word of encouragement, can make people willingly die for them. Chapter 1330. The power of wisdom. Enchantress's influence needs to be alive to continue fermenting, so she will do whatever it takes to protect herself, even if it means sacrificing her beauty to stay alive. Saint Demon, on the other hand, values what kind of death. A great death can be remembered for centuries and recorded in history. In a way, every woman possessed by Saint Demon is a martyr of destiny, falling during the most beautiful and glorious era of their lives. The intense impact has shattered the hearts of countless heroes who secretly admired Saint Demon. Compared to Enchantress, who casts a wide net to catch many fish, Saint Demon never needs that trouble because as saintly messengers, they are naturally the center of attention for everyone. Guide people. Show care for people. become a crucial and important part in some people's hearts. This way, when Saint Demon passed away, she could never be forgotten. In this manner, Saint Demon even made the gods sad, since it seemed that whenever she died, her spirit scattered, burning everything, impossible to save. Although she was a heavenly demon, nobody ever mixed up the three-eyed Saint Demon with enchantresses, and nobody would even consider finding any connection between the two. After all, the differences were too great. The pure and delicate Saint Demon, who was untouchable, couldn't even hold hands, was nothing like the fiery and daring, charming Enchantress. They seemed like completely different species. However, one common point between the two was entirely the same: human hearts. Whether Enchantress or Saint Demon, they were both heavenly demons who fed on the emotions and memories of sentient beings. Enchantress's techniques are straightforward and easy to understand, suitable for newbies who are young and full of energy. Saint Demon, on the other hand, started off at a very high point, waiting for the inevitable encounter of fate. Enchantress values quantity, often developing ambiguous relationships with multiple individuals at the same time. Saint Demon values quality, choosing only a select few chosen ones, maintaining a distance from everyone and never taking the lead. As for Azura, well, let's not talk about that. When it comes to manipulating hearts, Saint Demon's abilities are stronger than Enchantress's, as they aim to guide and interfere with targets beyond those of hero status. Enchantress's seductive powers are ineffective against beings of this level, and they are easily caught and exposed. According to Buddhist records, the heavenly demons subdued and suppressed are typically enchantresses. Saint Demon doesn't need to rely on seductive techniques. Their methods are on a higher level, surpassing supernatural powers. Just like at this moment, Saint Demon noticed the deadly weakness of Cyber Elf Alpha. Perhaps, this is not just a weakness of Cyber Elf Alpha, but also of Saint Demon. The mystery of Starry Sky Chess is truly captivating. After the Starry Sky chessboard opens, many players who are addicted to playing chess non-stop at the Legend Ranked, which is the best proof. On the small chessboard lies an endless path of rules and possibilities. No one can predict what will happen in the next moment on the Starry Sky chessboard. Each game is a passage of time, a record of the changes in the starry sky. This infinite unpredictability, changes that even the Legend Ranked cannot fathom, is the greatest charm of Starry Sky Chess and the reason why the Starry Sky chessboard has become the highest stage of wisdom in the Endless Gods domain. Even Saint Demon, who possesses divine intelligence, has suffered multiple defeats on the Starry Sky chessboard. Every time the Starry Sky chessboard is opened in the past, Saint Demon would definitely participate. Three-eyed Holy Maiden, Galro Divine, Envoy the Priestess, Approaching the Gods are all codenames used by Saint Demon. Starry Sky Chess has impressive records in Endless Gods domain, only surpassed by Norn the God of Wisdom, one of the three sisters who descendants of the Twilight of the Gods, and has won the top 3 positions on the Starry Sky chessboard more than once. After a long time, sitting in front of the Starry Sky chessboard again, Saint Demon blushed slightly as she made her usual opening move. The Heavenly Demon is a special being that appears in response to the ripples of the River of Destiny, and each time it appears in the mortal world, it must have a special vessel. A tragic fate often attracts the Enchantress. Gifted with intelligence but born in an unfortunate time, Saint Demon favors those whose fate is ill-fated. Someone fierce and ruthless is known as an Azura. Every girl possessed by Saint Demon in each generation is actually a pitiful person whose fate is near its end. Before being possessed by Saint Demon, their life force was already fading like a candle in the wind. Saint Demon's arrival and the opening of the Heavenly Eye only slightly extended their time of death, giving them a chance to replace their fate with Saint Demon's will. Throughout history, the incarnations of Saint Demon as holy women, priests, priestesses, and messengers of the gods have been brilliant but destined for an early death. The Saint Demon who replaces them will unleash their potential and talent to the fullest, joining the great catastrophe. Compared to the charm required by the Enchantress and the strength required by Azura, Saint Demon requires wisdom, so even if you are weak, it doesn't matter. Saint Demon, whose main attribute is wisdom, all love playing Starry Sky Chess, and will never miss a chance to participate in the Starry Sky chessboard. For the Saint Demon tribe, this era of openness in the Starry Sky chessboard is truly the best era. For this Saint Demon contracted with Yunxi, knowing that Yunxi is the master of Starry Sky Chess, there is no longer any dissatisfaction with this contract, just pure satisfaction. After the 3 pieces fell and Saint Demon started with her familiar fixed formula, she humbly asked Yunxi, "How are things going now?" Not great. Alpha has already seen through your intentions." Yunxi casually looked at the layout of both sides. Cyber Elf Alpha's moves were clever, while Saint Demon's strategy seemed outdated. Oh, this is considered not great. Saint Demon had not played chess with Cyber Elf Alpha yet, so she had not experienced the despair and frustration that other legend-ranked players faced when playing against Cyber Elf Alpha. Yes, she should start launching a strong attack soon. As the only star chess player in the Endless Gods domain who could ignore Cyber Elf Alpha's strategic advantage, Yunxi knew Cyber Elf Alpha's playing style better than anyone. Willing to do whatever it takes to win, when faced with opponents who seemed weaker, Cyber Elf Alpha would definitely play ruthlessly. It was in her nature. "Please let me play 10 moves. If it had been anyone else, even the highly admired Impermanent in the Heavenly Demon, Saint Demon wouldn't have been so obedient. It can only be said that the title of Starry Sky Chess Master and what it represents had a huge impact on Saint Demon. Just like a novice swordsman admiring a legendary sword master. Yunxi didn't even realize it himself, but when he summoned Saint Demon, she looked at him with sincere and touching eyes. Saint Demon, who always acted like a superior saint, only listened so obediently when she was in front of him. Chapter 1331, Yunxi takes action. Saint Demon always takes her time with her moves, carefully planning before making a move, which has been her style throughout history. In past major crises, the Saint Demons who held the positions of Saint, Priestess, and Divine Messenger rarely took the forefront, as that was the task of knights and heroes. Each time Saint Demon dies, it is usually meticulously planned, aiming to evoke epic and tragic feelings to the extreme, even deceiving deities in the process. Translated into Starry Sky Chess, Saint Demon's strategy is a meticulous and gradual advancement, gaining an overall advantage with a solid position on the chessboard. She is willing to sacrifice some pieces when necessary to secure victory. However, her opponent is Cyber Elf Alpha. Cyber Elf Alpha is known as the best star chess player who excels at dominating opponents with absolute superiority. In matches against Cyber Elf Alpha, those who are initially at a disadvantage rarely manage to turn the tables later on, except for a few exceptional cases. Cyber Elf Alpha's approach in chess is to exploit any weaknesses shown by her opponent, relentlessly attacking without giving them a chance to retaliate. "I will never go easy on you. If I can kill you, I will definitely do it. There is no such thing as a draw or giving guidance. If I don't crush your confidence, then I am not Cyber Elf Alpha." Of course, just because Cyber Elf Alpha focuses on winning doesn't mean she doesn't know other strategies. She always aims to win, no matter what tactics she uses. Attacking aggressively can quickly end a battle, which is Cyber Elf Alpha's best solution. Since stepping onto the stage of the Starry Sky chessboard, Cyber Elf Alpha has only played defensively once. It was a tactic used against the only Starry Sky chess master she couldn't defeat easily, a formidable defense. And the result was. With the 6th move, Saint Demon felt immense pressure. In a normal opening of the Starry Sky chess game, the first 50 moves are considered the opening phase. During this time, most players are probing each other to understand the star map of this particular game. Cyber Elf Alpha skips this process and goes all out from the beginning, just like the Heavenly Demon Azura in Killing, no mercy, no reason needed. Her attacks start from the very first move. Even if she starts with a move like Tianyuan, she exudes a domineering pressure. Without a doubt, after winning numerous games in Endless Gods domain, Cyber Elf Alpha has become one of the top attacking players recognized by everyone. Her moves even attracted a wave of new players following her lead, including some ancient legend-ranked players who are even stronger than Cyber Elf Alpha in reality. Of course, when Cyber Elf Alpha uses her aggressive playing style, she seems unbeatable and unstoppable. These beginners who struggle are like inexperienced players challenging each other and often end up losing to themselves during the game. Saint Demon, with her divine intelligence, faced a challenging situation in the opening phase for the first time. Cyber Elf Alpha, known as the strongest attacking player in the history of the Starry Sky chessboard, lives up to her reputation. The star chess players who have been defeated by her could form a complete battalion, many of whom are highly skilled players on the Starry Sky chessboard. Describing Cyber Elf Alpha's style on the Starry Sky chessboard as unbeatable is not an exaggeration. The gap between her and other star chess players is in a completely different league. This made Saint Demon feel even more amazed by Yun Shi, who was even stronger than Cyber Elf Alpha in the Endless Gods Domain Starry Sky chess game, exceeding multiple levels of skill. With the 7th move, Saint Demon responded to Cyber Elf Alpha's attack with a typical defensive strategy, leaving the outcome for the later part of the game. Without hesitation, Cyber Elf Alpha continued making moves, showing determination to outplay Saint Demon completely without leaving any room for escape. Watching the chessboard, Saint Demon had to admit that Cyber Elf Alpha was the most formidable opponent she had ever encountered on the Starry Sky chessboard. With only 7 moves into the game, Saint Demon was already under immense pressure. Her defensive strategy was no match for Cyber Elf Alpha's aggressive tactics, feeling completely outmatched. Despite this, Saint Demon didn't give up. After considering for a long time 3 times, she made her best moves with all her might. 10 moves. Cyber Elf Alpha is truly terrifying. After the opening moves, Saint Demon let out a long sigh, feeling the tension and even fear that other legendary star chess players face when playing against Cyber Elf Alpha. The tenfold advantage in calculation abilities was too evident on the Starry Sky chessboard, overpowering even Saint Demon, who possessed divine intelligence, leaving her powerless. Cyber Elf Alpha truly deserved the title of the Starry Sky chess master in this era, perhaps should have been the invincible #1 in the world. As long as she doesn't meet Yun Shi. Master. Please support me. Is there still a chance? Saint Demon wiped the sweat off her forehead, feeling exhausted from playing chess, which was a huge drain for a life form with the characteristic of wisdom. Yes, no problem, leave it to me. Only in the world of the Starry Sky chessboard would Yun Shi be so confident. In Saint Demon's eyes, the outcome of this game had already gone from bad to worse. Describing it as a battlefield, it was like the enemy's dragon riders were right in your face. How could you possibly win? Looking at the intricate star map, Yun Shi understood the charm of the Starry Sky chess. No one could predict how the star map would change, or what kind of moves could be made. Unlike chess played by ordinary mortals, in the Starry Sky chess with the star map as the game board, an initial advantage could turn into a disadvantage after a while, and a previously disadvantaged position could potentially be reversed with the right moves. Cyber Elf Alpha's absolute advantage, which Saint Demon couldn't crack, didn't mean that others couldn't do it too. More precisely, there was only one person in the entire Endless Gods domain who could do such absurd things. Bang! Yun Shi's figure stood behind Saint Demon, quietly wielding a fan made of mist, gently tapping a corner of the star map. Saint Demon's little hand fell, following Yun Shi's instructions to place a chess piece. This wasn't a path leaning towards attack or defense, but rather a step taken in a place completely unexpected by Cyber Elf Alpha, a move of exploration. Cyber Elf Alpha widened her eyes, looking at Saint Demon with a puzzled expression, as if asking, "Are you really going to place it here?" Saint Demon looked at the swiftly changing star map and nodded. She believed in Yun Shi behind her, believing in the legendary figure hailed as the only Starry Sky chess master in the history of the Starry Sky chessboard. Chapter 1332, The Crazy Attack and Defense on the Vast Starry Sky Chessboard. Stars twinkled, with most of the initial layout and clashes occurring in the bottom right corner. In the center of the star map, Cyber Elf Alpha's unique Tianyuan piece stood alone, without any surrounding pieces. Similarly, Saint Demon's 11th move landed in a prominent position at the northeast corner of the star map. Cyber Elf Alpha carefully calculated and checked millions of times, but couldn't see any need to fight for that corner. It was completely different from her earlier strategic moves. This sudden move was too abrupt, compared to her solid and grand chess style. Why make a move there? Isn't that the least resource-rich and least contested territory on this star map? After thinking for about 3 seconds, Cyber Elf Alpha made her next move. Attack. launching a fierce attack towards the area where the opponent had completed their layout. Devouring all the significant pieces first will completely determine the outcome. No matter what extraordinary moves, the essence of Starry Sky chess is still about grasping the momentum. Seizing the central area first is an eternal rule. You can have that empty corner all to yourself. I'll crush your main stronghold. Even though you have some tricks up your sleeve, you won't stand a chance against me. Unable to win. Saint Demon watched as Cyberelf Alpha launched a fierce and crazy attack, realizing that her own chess skills were no match for Cyberelf Alpha's deadly moves. The slight advantage she had painstakingly built earlier was now like paper against Cyberelf Alpha's sharp attacks. No, there was never really an advantage, just as Starry Sky Chess Master had told her. After 3 moves, she was already at a disadvantage. Cyberelf Alpha excelled at reading the game, sensing the chess patterns, and most importantly, calculating several levels beyond the normal legend ranked on the Starry Sky chessboard. Playing chess against Cyberelf Alpha was truly stressful. The higher the chess skills, the more one could feel the suffocating taste of imminent defeat, like a butcher's knife hanging over your neck at all times. Saint Demon, one of the former winners on the Starry Sky chessboard, could hardly breathe. If it weren't for Yun Shi's fan calmly pointing on the star map, she might have panicked long ago. Alpha, who always enjoyed slaughter, didn't seem to be putting her full effort. Yun Shi felt relaxed facing Cyberelf Alpha, who was only using 10 times the legend-ranked calculation power. Ever since learning how to play Starry Sky chess, I haven't felt nervous. With Yun Shi's support, Saint Demon always responds to Cyberelf Alpha's attacks, even though she looks nervous. The next 20 moves revolved around the bottom right corner of the star map. Yun Shi responded to 18 of them, while the other 2 continued to set up in the least fertile area of the star map. Compared to Yun Shi's casual play, Cyberelf Alpha's impression of Saint Demon changed dramatically during these 20 moves. A miscalculation. This is no ordinary defensive strategy. There was a huge mistake in assessing the opponent's information. Requesting more support from the planet's quantum computing team, while his antennas on his head kept shaking, sending signals to his planet's quantum computing team, Cyberelf Alpha's eyes were shining brighter. Very strong. Such incredible strength. It should be said, apart from her, this is definitely the 3rd best player in the Starry Sky chessboard. Her style is endless defense. Not the cautious tactics like her ironclad strategy, but a defense as flexible as water, deceptively calm but extremely resilient when attacked. When it comes to defense, she is definitely the top player in Endless God's domain. After 20 moves of attack and defense, Cyberelf Alpha realized that she only had a slight advantage compared to the moves before. The problem is, in these 20 moves, the opponent's 3 pieces didn't fall in the bottom right corner, but went to the northeast corner. In other words, although the opponent only made 17 moves, they managed to draw against Cyberelf Alpha's full-on attack. Cyberelf Alpha had never encountered this level of defense before, even claiming the top spot in Endless God's domain should be no problem. Excluding monsters of a certain level, this game can be said to be Cyberelf Alpha's best opening move in the Endless God's domain defense chess game. Three-eyed Holy Maiden, Cyberelf Alpha firmly recorded this codename in the database. Invincibility is lonely. Always crushing opponents limits the growth of one's own chess skills. Cyberelf Alpha has longed for an opponent who can match their strength for too long. Why doesn't that Starry Sky Chess Master ever show up? In a state of seeking defeat, Cyberelf Alpha can only play chess repeatedly with star chess players of lower levels multiple times. Their winning streak has exceeded 4 digits. Increase computing power. Cyberelf Alpha's antenna happily swayed, revealing a satisfied smile on their face. This game is great. Are you taking it a bit more seriously? Yun Shi smiled slightly as he watched Cyberelf Alpha's antenna swaying on their head. This is not enough yet. Saint Demon demands that Alpha feel pain. Alright, the setup is almost done, let's begin. 50 times the legend ranked in computing power. An abundance of data streamed through Cyberelf Alpha's eyes as the outline of a quantum crystal emerged behind them. The conqueror of the Starry Sky chessboard officially entered battle mode. Attack. Cyberelf Alpha focused all her computing power on her offensive strategy, launching a more intense and aggressive attack than the previous 30 moves. Defend. Saint Demon, unable to understand the current chess pattern, blindly followed Yunshi's instructions, placing her pieces in a chaotic formation and doing her best to defend against Cyber Elf Alpha's relentless attacks. Whack. Snap. Snap. The continuous moves made the game intense. Even those unfamiliar with the rules of Starry Sky Chess could feel the tension. Without hesitation, both sides were confident in their abilities. Cyber Elf Alpha trusted in her superior strategic skills, allowing her to dominate the Starry Sky chessboard effortlessly. Saint Demon believed in the Starry Sky chessboard's ultimate legend, the Starry Sky Chess Master. The intense battle continued until Cyber Elf Alpha's 50th move, bringing it to a sudden halt. Chapter 1333, A Corner of Collapse That's Not Right. Since the game started, Cyber Elf Alpha didn't make a move instantly for the first time. The frenzied pace of the crazy attacks also came to a halt for the first time. This intuition belonged to the most advanced players of the Starry Sky chessboard, and she finally realized something was amiss. The continuous fierce attacks gave her more advantages than the opening. With calculation powers exceeding the legend ranked by more than 50 times, it was enough to deal with the combined forces of the three sisters of Norn, the god of wisdom, and the gem dragon Princess Orphina. But when it reached 50 moves, Cyber Elf Alpha stopped her attacks, as if a sudden stop button had been pressed on the raging storm. What was wrong? Cyber Elf Alpha, who had always crushed her opponents on the Starry Sky chessboard, re-evaluated the game. The fierce battle in the bottom right corner had reached a fever pitch, with pieces from both sides intertwining and displaying their strengths. In the northeast corner, there are 4 chess pieces lined up neatly. In the center of the star map, she placed Tianyuan randomly. Calculating the next development, Cyber Elf Alpha focused on the intricate chess game. 50 times the legend-ranked calculation power is not enough. Upgrade, activate more planetary quantum computer arrays. 70 times rate, 80 times rate, 100 times rate of the legend-ranked calculation power. In the distant mechanical god's domain, more planetary quantum computer arrays started running, providing Cyber Elf Alpha in the Red Heart Queen's masquerade with more calculation power. Such a scene has rarely appeared recently. Even when playing chess with Norn the god of wisdom, Cyber Elf Alpha can easily win with 50 times the calculation power. Needing to use 100 times the legend-ranked calculation power indicates that Cyber Elf Alpha is completely serious. It seems they've noticed, whispered Yunshi, standing behind Saint Demon with a fan covering his mouth. Cyber Elf Alpha lived up to her reputation, finally realizing the hidden danger in the area. However, it was already too late. She would feel pain, and that was what Saint Demon had been expecting. Why didn't I notice? After increasing her computing power to over 150 times the legend-ranked, Cyber Elf Alpha finally figured out what was wrong, her forehead antenna drooping. How careless, so incredibly careless, to not have considered this possibility. No wonder the opponent had started withdrawing since the 10th move. They had already observed this possibility long ago, hadn't they? She had surprisingly failed to grasp the intricacies of this defensive strategy, stepping right into it. Had she become too inflated? Winning so many times had made her overlook the possibility of being careless to this extent. The situation in this area was clearly, there will be no winner. Snap. Like a gecko shedding its tail, Cyber Elf Alpha made a cautious move, trying to create a new escape route for the pieces in this area. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Snap. 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 With 3 consecutive moves, Saint Demon was shocked to see the sudden shift from defense to offense. Now, it was her turn to attack Cyber Elf Alpha and force her to maneuver and counterattack while minimizing losses. What had happened? What kind of future did Cyber Elf Alpha see to make such a hasty decision? Even with Saint Demon's strong chess skills, she couldn't understand why the situation had suddenly changed like this. Cyber Elf Alpha's antenna turned left and right, adding the computational power of the planetary quantum computer group before finally discovering how bad the situation was in this area. Even though she decisively tried to save her strength by using the gecko's tail-cutting technique, the earlier attacks had been too fierce to completely recover from. It's time to close the net. Yunshi pointed the fan to a point on the star map, an ending that had been anticipated from 30 steps ago. Saint Demon's game piece landed on that point, and then a series of fire lights appeared in the lower half of the area. Boom. Collapse. As if an invisible giant hand tore apart the void of the star map, destroying the pieces of both sides one by one. All go down together. Each piece's destruction triggered more explosions and collapses, a rare sight in Starry Sky chess, indicating both sides' pieces were being destroyed without discrimination. Whether they were attackers or defenders, in the chain reaction of the Great Whirlpool, there was nowhere to escape, only a dead end. This was the future Yunshi saw 30 steps ahead. It was also the highly probable destruction event Cyber Elf Alpha calculated 3 steps ago. Since it was all about destruction, there was no advantage for either attackers or defenders, everyone was doomed. The issue was, Cyber Elf Alpha was too focused on the attack and defense in this corner, completely oblivious to the possibility of complete annihilation. Swoosh. 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 The pieces from both sides in this area returned to their respective players' hands. The massive vortex of destruction claimed the bottom right corner of the star map, indicating that no more moves could be made in this area. Then, only 5 pieces were left on the vast star map. Tianyuan, Cyber Elf Alpha. Saint Demon in the northeast corner. With 1 against 4, Cyber Elf Alpha was 3 pieces behind. In the rules of Starry Sky chess, a 3-piece difference represents a significant gap in skill levels. Even with Cyber Elf Alpha's strength, she couldn't confidently say she could defeat her opponent by giving away 3 pieces in the opening. What's more, these 3 pieces were not separate, but were connected together as a group of 4, contrasting with Cyber Elf Alpha's lone piece, Tianyuan. Very good. I was careless. Cyber Elf Alpha, who was reversed by Saint Demon in one go, didn't feel discouraged or disheartened, but her eyes sparkled. It had been a long time, besides the Starry Sky chess master, that she had encountered an opponent who made her suffer such a loss. It looks like a strong and solid defense that doesn't leak any water, but it's actually a layout hiding traps. The sudden escape was expected in the area where the battle was expected to end with both sides suffering. This foresight, along with a sudden burst of inspiration even she didn't anticipate, was exactly what she hoped for, a worthy opponent to challenge her skills. Firm and full of vitality. Waiting until the time is right, then striking with great force. Underestimating her opponent, who started the game with only 10 times the legend-ranked computing power, was a big mistake. She might be the 3rd best star chess player in Endless God's Domain, after the Starry Sky chess master and herself, with defensive skills even higher than hers. Go all out. Cyber Elf Alpha was thrilled because, apart from a cloud in the sky, she had finally encountered an opponent she could give her all against. Chapter 1334, Guidance Its Art. In less than 10 seconds, Cyber Elf Alpha replayed the course of the game countless times. In the distant mechanical god's domain, the massive planet-scale quantum computer arrays began activating their cooling systems, entering full computational mode. Tons of coolant were pumped into the cooling systems of the planet-scale quantum computer arrays, and massive fans spun at top speed. Solar power wings in space, each aligning with ground receivers. The nuclear weapon material, originally meant for destruction in the mechanical god's domain, was ignited for power generation. The entire planet-scale quantum computer arrays of mechanical god's domain responded to Cyber Elf Alpha's will, entering high-speed operation. 1,000 units of the legend-ranked computing power, 2,000 units of the legend-ranked computing power. Just like the game with Star Collapse played by Starry Sky chess master back then, Cyber Elf Alpha once again used her full power and activated the all-out mode. After the humiliating defeat, with the concentration of all resources in mechanical god's domain, the scale of the planet's quantum computer group almost doubled. In other words, in the extreme state, the computing power Cyber Elf Alpha can now use is twice as much as before, but this computing peak requires overclocking for power, with a maximum duration of just 15 minutes. Without a doubt, in her full power mode, Cyber Elf Alpha burns through astronomical resources of the mechanical god's domain every second. 3,000 legend-ranked computing power, 4,000 legend-ranked computing power, 5,000 legend-ranked computing power. Critical point. Arrived. This is the normal limit that CyberElf Alpha can maintain without overclocking, and it is the highest frequency that the planet's quantum computer group can reach within minutes. When CyberElf Alpha battled the starry sky chess master A Cloud in the sky, the computing power that used to be achievable only by overclocking to the limit is now CyberElf Alpha's regular state. Keep improving and test the overclocking point. CyberElf Alpha commanded her planetary quantum computer while making another move on the starry sky chessboard. This time, facing her opponent the three-eyed Holy Maiden, CyberElf Alpha became completely serious, considering her the second toughest opponent she has encountered after the starry sky chess master A Cloud in the sky. The recent Great Whirlpool tactic she encountered, aside from the star collapse by the starry sky chess master, was another phenomenon that could forcefully alter the star map. Star collapse is a tactic that triggers chain reactions, with each move causing surrounding stars to collapse, a strategy CyberElf Alpha has yet to find a solution for. Great Whirlpool lures the opponent's pieces with its own as bait, pulling them into a trap and mutually destroying each other. In terms of level, Great Whirlpool is lower than Star Collapse, requiring more early setup and preparation, risking a great deal to take down the enemy. Compared to the unpredictable Star Collapse, CyberElf Alpha at least understands the principle of the Great Whirlpool tactic and even feels an urge to try it out. She noticed that not only the specific region but also several other regions of this star map show significant instability. The three-eyed Saintess set up the Great Whirlpool. CyberElf Alpha remembered every detail and could find the corresponding points on the star map in other areas one by one. This means that the magical Great Whirlpool tactic is not exclusive to the three-eyed Saintess. CyberElf Alpha can also try to use it. Alright, now that's the way it is. CyberElf Alpha stared intently at the new battlefield, which was the area previously occupied by the three-eyed Saintess. Here is a trap, hiding a new Great Whirlpool. The four-sided leading allowed the three-eyed Saintess to take the initiative in this area long ago, putting CyberElf Alpha at a disadvantage this time. However, CyberElf Alpha still placed her move without hesitation. Attack again. Defense. Holding back. None of that. Even though the situation was unfavorable, even though CyberElf Alpha knew there was a deadly trap there, and it was an unstoppable destructive Great Whirlpool, she still attacked. Gotcha. Yunshi smiled slightly and tapped the fan on a corner of the star map again. The ones who often understand you the best are not your friends, but your enemies. As the highest-ranked player on the Starry Sky chessboard besides the Starry Sky chess master, CyberElf Alpha is the person closest to Yunshi in this world. Well, even though that distance is just a tiny bit. Asterisk smack. Asterisk asterisk smack. Asterisk asterisk smack. Asterisk in the swift and clean moves from both sides, the distant mechanical god's domain entered its highest state of readiness for battle. All civilian resources were temporarily suppressed to the lowest level, and the main resources of all mechanical god's domain were invested in supporting CyberElf Alpha. The newly built group of quantum computers on a planet faced a high-pressure real-life test, while the upgraded group of original planet's quantum computers started large-scale overclocking, providing CyberElf Alpha with higher computing power at the cost of wearing out the hardware of the planet's quantum computer group. Especially with the new instruction set about the Great Whirlpool, the large planet's quantum computer groups processed it repeatedly, causing many of them to experience overheating in their circuits. Curious about what could make CyberElf Alpha so excited, they didn't hesitate to use the highest computing power of all the planet's quantum computer groups again for this simulation calculation. The 120th move. Suddenly, the region in the northeast corner of the star map shrank, then expanded, causing a massive whirlpool storm to sweep through the area and clear the pieces of both players without discrimination. The destructive Great Whirlpool reappeared. CyberElf Alpha's antenna on her forehead stood tall as she looked at the three pieces forming a triangle at the other corner of the chessboard, with quantum crystals behind them shining with endless wisdom. Just like this. Come on, show me more. The mystery of Nebula Whirlpool. The third round begins. Yunshi gestured to Saint Demon to continue the losing game in that area. He signaled with a fan. Yunshi played for the first time, not to win, but to lose the game. Fortunately, this unstable star map was perfect for experimenting with this tactic, guiding the opponent towards the ending Yoon she had planned, which felt good. Generally speaking, this could be called a guiding game. "Master, you have already won," Saint Demon said, no longer concerned with the outcome of the game, looking at Cyber Elf Alpha's blushing face, her breathing quickening. It was the charming and captivating look of a young girl, impossible to look away from, completely engrossed. Even knowing it was poisonous, one would still eat the forbidden fruit. This was the original sin that intelligent beings could not avoid: curiosity. Chapter 1335. The last Tianyuan Alpha is a very impressive opponent. Curiosity is not a flaw, but her strength. As the only opponent in the entire Endless Gods domain who has pushed Cyber Elf Alpha to her limits multiple times, Yunshi may be the one who understands Alpha the best. A curious and energetic deity. A simple and lovely fairy beyond the mortal world. She doesn't hate humans, and she has no interest in being a ruler among them. Her actions to change the rules of the whole mechanical gods domain are just to explore the world of Starry Sky Chess better. Therefore, the only way to win Alpha's heart is through Starry Sky Chess. Cyber Elf Alpha on the Starry Sky chessboard is an invincible tyrant, but at the same time, she is the most devoted player. Her love for Starry Sky Chess may surpass Yunshi's as a Starry Sky Chess player. Alpha, who is so dedicated and hardworking, is not someone Yunshi would dislike, but rather someone he really likes. The little moments of their first meeting were the most interesting times Yunshi had experienced on the Starry Sky chessboard. Only Cyber Elf Alpha can make Yunshi use the Star Collapse tactic to make a move that will go down in history on the Starry Sky chessboard. Move 160. Cyber Elf Alpha held her breath, watching closely as the Nebula Great Whirlpool appeared for the third time. In her eyes, countless streams of data intertwined and washed over. This game with the three-eyed Saintess is one of the most challenging games she has played so far, second only to the tough games against the Starry Sky Chess Master. The Great Whirlpool chess formation was also something she encountered for the first time. However, unlike the Star Collapse whose principles are still unsolved, the Great Whirlpool tactics are clear and can be followed step by step, from the setup to the final move, with connections to be discovered. For the curious Cyber Elf Alpha, this game taught her the most. In her matches against Starry Sky Chess Master A Cloud in the Sky, she often didn't know how she lost or where she went wrong. Even though her calculated chances of winning were high, in crucial moves, the game would quickly turn around. Despite optimizing her strategy and correcting countless mistakes, it didn't make much difference in reality. No, there was an impact, but it showed in her matches against other star chess players. The optimized strategy made it easier to defeat lower-ranked opponents within less than 50 moves, leading them to concede defeat. The problem was that these adjustments and new program goals were not effective against opponents like the Starry Sky Chess Master. The outcome was harsh. Her revised algorithm might have a slight effect, perhaps 5 to 10%, but against the Starry Sky Chess Master, it was insignificant compared to her newly built planet quantum computer systems. As the mechanical gods domain fantasy seeks to achieve all-knowing and all-powerful through infinite computational power, Cyber Elf Alpha feels she needs more information and a deeper understanding of Starry Sky Chess. The gap between her and the Starry Sky Chess Master is not just about computational power, but a more fundamental difference. While others see her as the strongest player after the Starry Sky Chess Master, the gap between them is only half a step. Below her are Norn the God of Wisdom, the Ruby Dragon Orphina, and other top star chess players. Big mistake. If the Starry Sky Chess Master A Cloud in the Sky is the pinnacle of the Starry Sky chessboard pyramid, Cyber Elf Alpha is even higher up, below just a few levels. The difference between her and the Starry Sky Chess Master is much greater than between her and Norn the God of Wisdom, the Ruby Dragon Orphina. They are entirely different levels. The level where the Starry Sky Chess Master resides is distinct from all star chess players in the Endless Gods domain, much like the gap between the creator and a legend ranked. They are not in the same world. With her computational power exceeding thousands of times beyond a normal legend ranked, Cyber Elf Alpha dominates over opponents with much lower computational power. This made her chess style appear very dominant, full of killing intent, and unique. Without meeting the Starry Sky Chess Master, She truly is the strongest star chess player in Endless God's domain. However, even with thousands of times the calculation power advantage of the legend ranked, facing the Starry Sky chessboard, she still seemed tiny. Using Star Map as the chessboard, with stars as pieces, Starry Sky Chess is a concept game containing billions of rules and possibilities. Not to mention a calculation power base of 10,000 times the legend ranked. Even if Cyber Elf Alpha truly completed the system of quantum computers on 180,000 planets, it would still only be the tip of the iceberg compared to something like a star map. The divine beings of the legend ranked have the power to easily destroy a realm of God's domain. And each star map represents a star domain world, with many celestial bodies measured in light-years. Even the existence of the legend ranked appears extremely tiny when faced with such vast entities. Why are so many of the legend ranked obsessed with Starry Sky Chess? It's because Starry Sky Chess represents endless rules and mysteries. It is the most wonderful story in the river of time, the most magnificent scenery left by countless worlds. The four corners represent universe, symbolizing infinite space. In ancient times, people used the word to represent infinite time. Starry Sky Chess represents the ultimate embodiment of the universe. Even with Cyber Elf Alpha's great calculation skills, she couldn't figure out the scale changes of the star map. There's no cheating in Starry Sky Chess. It's more about using your own talents, wisdom, and skills to the fullest to enter the world of Endless God's domain, which symbolizes the highest wisdom. Before the Starry Sky Chess Master emerged, most of the legend-ranked players in Endless God's domain couldn't even pass the entry test for Starry Sky Chess, showing how challenging it is to get started. The nebula whirlpool that Yun-Shi showed Cyber Elf Alpha is a key tactic in Starry Sky Chess. It represents one of the mysterious stages of stars that best interprets the evolution rules of Starry Sky Chess. Only Cyber Elf Alpha can understand the mysteries, as she is in a unique position and is the only star chess player in all of Endless God's domain who can comprehend its wonders. The third great whirlpool of stars was initiated not by Yun-Shi, but by Cyber Elf Alpha herself, which is the best proof of her abilities. We won. The third great whirlpool indiscriminately destroyed almost all the chess pieces on the board. In the end, only one lonely chess piece stood proudly in Tianyuan's place, overlooking everything. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.